Over the last 2 weeks here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, we have seen RB Leipzig become the best club in the world. And last week we got to see the Brazilians successfully defend their E-Nations title. But that was 2v2. Now this week we get to turn our attention to individual performances as we look to see who is going to become the FIFAe World Cup champion and join the likes of MS Dossery, Mo Alba, Gorilla, and of course our very own Aggie, and go down in FIFA history.
Well, one thing's for sure, it's going to be a new name that lifts that trophy this year, because no, Umar, last year's champion, did not qualify for this year's FIFAe World Cup 2023. I'm here in the Players' Lounge, not too busy right now, but it's going to get busier as the games get closer. We're going to kick things off with Groups A and B. Later on, we'll see Groups C and D. And by the way, Group D has got to be one of the most stacked groups of death I've ever seen. Keep a lookout for it. But before that, we'll see the likes of Stingray and Tuga from Group A. In Group B, we have Tex, we have local hero Abu Maka. Could he be the man that takes that trophy home along with $300,000 in the process? We're going to find out over the next few days.
No, you are not experiencing deja vu. We are back for the third and final time here in Riyadh for the big one, I like to say, the FIFAe World Cup. It now comes down to individual performances. There's no looking over your shoulder and asking your teammate to help you out. It's you against your opponent. And I cannot wait for this one. And I'm sure everybody joining me here in the studio cannot as well. Alex B, Richard Buckley, Brandon Smith, and Mike LaBelle. Guys, this one seems always to have that extra something about it. I feel the players get a little bit more nervous for this one, Mike, like I just said, because they can't ask anything from their teammates. It's all about them, isn't it?
I look at this as the original as well. If you've been around for the FIFA Interactive World Cup, of course, turning into the FIFAe World Cup, this has always been the claim to fame as the best, undisputed FIFA player in the world. Take me to the Ballon d'Or. I'm about to be at an award show, and then some extra cushions, some extra pocket work, as you've already heard at the top of the show from Spencer.
Do you as well, Brandon, think a lot of the people watching at home see and feel this is the big one? And if you win this, you really do. We always say go down history, but you do in terms of the individual title, don't you?
I think this is one of the only tournaments that people remember as a world champion, right? Predominantly FIFA esports is a 1v1 esport. 2v2 has come in the last couple of years, but this is a history-defining tournament. We've never had a FIFAe World Cup with a $1 million prize pool. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely ridiculous. Well, the rules change as well a little bit when it comes to 1v1. So let's look and see how they differ this week from what they did last week. Rich, I'll let you have a little look at this. We'll go through it together. Group stages, of course, they're the same as we'd already seen. Only 4 out of the 6 players in each group get to go through. And again, it's that round-robin tournament we have obviously grown to know so well over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the tournament that all roads lead to. You can see, if you follow any sort of FIFA esports, this is the tournament and the restrictions, the squads that you expect to see. No draft process in action as well. So the majority of the teams that you'll be seeing, pretty similar in appearance. Again,
one leg of FIFA again in the groups, and it changes to 2 legs, which, Alex, we know, don't we? Hello, welcome. That in the last 2 competitions, a lot of the players just want to get to that 3rd day and experience, as they kind of say, I'm saying this in inverted commas, like proper FIFA, 2 legs of FIFA, where they start to excel.
Yeah, we say it time and time again that when you're playing group stages, it's very different to what these players have been used to throughout this season. You play that one game, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. That suits some players. A lot of players will go out there and just look for those 3 points and go everything for that. But then when you get to knockout, it's a very different story. It's now 2 legs. It's what some players absolutely thrive in. So it's just about at times get through that group stage, make it through to knockouts.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's have a look then at the groups and everybody in them, 6 again in them. Let's start with Group C and D, actually, that come a little bit later. And if you're looking here for the world champion, the defending champion, he's not in it, guys. I hate to break it to you, but these guys are. Group C, Palinetto, we saw him last week. Stokes from Hashtag, he's in with a shout. Johnny, IVP legend, Oberon, and K. John there. The Group D, Yilmaz, ranked number 1 in Europe, actually. Damien, Nicholas 99 FC, remember he was runner-up last year to Umit, PH Zin, Manu Bashor, and Anders Vergang. And then A and B, this is what we really want to focus on, don't we? Because they're playing up first today. So we've got Lex, Tuga, Stingray, Berkay Lion, Darkly and Montaxa all in Group A. And then Group B looks like this. Tex, Mark from Australia, he's actually joined by his team, his countryman Mike, Abu Maka, the local hero, and Di Fernandez and Yuval all make up your 4 groups then playing today. And we had a little look, didn't we, at the Group C and D. They're the ones that are really stacked. That Group D, guys, I wouldn't want to be in that one. Actually, Mike, quickly, I went down to breakfast this morning and saw Renzo and I saw Manu Bashir and I said, ouch. I wouldn't want to be in your group today. And he went, it's so tough, but I'm just looking at it at one game at a time. He said, how though? Are there 5 people that he thinks can go through?
That's what this is all about. This is the best of the best. And as Brandon was saying, the reason this tournament hits a little bit different is because of the history. When you date back throughout FIFA esports, and even before we really truly had an ecosystem and a competitive calendar, this was the event every single year everyone looked forward to, the undisputed, and it's going to build like that today. So it doesn't surprise me. There has to be groups that are going to be the group of death on paper or whatnot, but I actually think a lot of players are going to surprise you in other groups.
Well, we hope so. We love surprises here at FIFA Esports, and especially at a World Cup level. Well, let's have a look then at the fixtures coming up right now. C and D a little bit later, remember. You have to come back and join us for those. Okay, let's have a look then. Lex, Berkay Lion, Tuga, Darkly, Stingray Junior, Montaxa. 3 massive matchups there. And in Group B, round 1. Let's have a little look at that as well. Tex, Mike, Mark, Di Fernandez, Abu Maka and Yuval. So that's how our first 6 fixtures looks. But we've spoken about the fixtures, spoken about some of the groups, and let's now meet Groups A and B, the players for the first time then today here at the FIFAe World Cup. With Tex representing Fnatic, he's 2nd ranked in Europe, and he really is looking to make a comeback here after getting grouped in the Club World Cup a few days ago. And then Mike from Australia, representing Melbourne City, is just behind him.
To come out of this group will be Mark 11. He probably couldn't believe his luck when he saw he's in the same group as his fellow countryman, followed not long after by Lex, his first ever FIFAe World Cup Grand Final representing Olympique Lyon.
And then this man, Tuga, then from Portugal, we know him so well, made all 3 World Cups, and again, unfortunately hasn't made it through the groups in both of them so far, so will be looking to turn his fortunes around with the man from Portugal. Then following him, we will have Stingray of the UK. He got to the round of 16 in 2022, the French champion, and then we go to
Di Fernandez, who will be making his way out very shortly before that. Darkly coming out as it stands of Portugal. As we said, Group A and Group B will be played first here in today's rounds. Montaxa, the Italian player, his first ever E-World Cup. Here comes a few more faces making their way to the booths, as all the coaches do as well. I think that's the full list. We didn't see everyone pop out, but some of the names we may have missed on that list. Berkay Lion came out, Di Fernandez, the Portuguese player of Diogo Jota's esports team, and Abu Maka, the local hero. The only Saudi player in this tournament, no MS Tasari this time round. He'll be looking to do what MS Tasari did, though, by winning the FIFAe World Cup.
12 players out then, 6 in each group there. That is Mark, of course, representing Footwiz for the first time here at the FIFAe World Cup. That man, in his own words, and we saw it, didn't we, firsthand, has never been grouped. Let's see if he can continue his great form this week. Well, there we have it. All the players now are here in the arena, Spen, getting ready to start their journey to the FIFAe World Cup. Where are you starting your journey? What player are you going to first?
I'm starting off with Tuga, a man who knows this platform very well, not only from the last few weeks, but from the last few years, really consistently getting to the big tournaments. Tuga, this is your 3rd tournament in as many weeks. How are you going to approach this one differently and hopefully avoid the same fate of the last two and get out the groups?
Yeah, I have a different preparation. I try to avoid last two tournaments, not to think about the results, because this is 1v1, and I'm really focused on this tournament because probably is the best tournament for every FIFA player. Wants to be the world champion, and I want to be, and I'm here to win.
Good luck to you, sir. Massive opportunity for Tuga to follow up, winning a major world trophy last year. Can you do it again this year? Another man who might be looking for a slightly different approach to group stages compared to last year is Stingray. This time last year, you had a bad first day, but you followed up with an unbelievable second day, which got you out the groups. What can you do differently to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I mean, hopefully not lose every game. That's the start. But I'm here by myself this time. You know, Texas got Zach more, which is a bit of a upset for me, but I'm confident in myself. I know what I'm like. This year online not been the best, but what happened when I got to LAN, I've smoked everyone. So.
He lets his LAN performances do the talking. Best of luck to Stingray and all our players. Guys, there's some huge games coming up. We're going to get started very soon. Let's do it.
Let's do it indeed. Well, that's one Englishman, of course, in the form of Stingray. But we have more Englishmen in the booth, and that man right there, I'm sure he would have been hoping from a little bit more from his World Cup journey so far, but has another chance right now.
It was obviously disappointing, but I don't really like looking back at stuff, because if you look back at stuff, then you just get annoyed about it. So I took a positive from it. So I'm trying to look forward, and I've been focusing on World Cup now, because World Cup's the one I really want to win, so yeah. My previous World Cups have not gone well at all. I got grouped in FIFA 19 and grouped in FIFA 22. For this tournament, I'm just looking at day one and day two of groups and thinking, just get me through that, and I get to the knockouts and we'll see what happens. But I've been like properly dead focused on getting out of groups. All the younger kids like coming through are the best players. They're all like 16, 17, 18, 19. And like, I'm 22, so I'm quite old now in terms of like FIFA. When I was a bit younger, the competition wasn't as high as it is now, so I'd play every now and then, and I managed to win tournaments. So I've realised, like, to stay on their level, you need to just keep playing, and that's literally all there is to it. Now there's Nicholas, there's Anders, there's Emre Yilmaz, there's Oberon who's sick, like Paolo Neto, P.A. Zin. There's so many good players, but like a finals matchup against Anders, I'm there, man, I want that. And anything less than winning, I will be annoyed.
Well, he's dialed in, isn't he, Tex? That's his opponent first, isn't it? Mike J there. He's dialed in, though. He knows what he needs to do. He wants to take on Anders in that final. That would be a pretty spicy matchup. Rich, though, 22, surely we can't talk about him being old just yet.
I love Mike J. He's such a character. No, I think for Tex, he knows the importance of this tournament. He even said himself he's not had a great E-World Cup experience. He's been grouped twice. And if he's going to win it, he's winning it now. Like, I think when you speak to him, the motivation's there, and he almost thinks, this is the one. Like, this could be sort of, I don't know, this could be it for him, really, in terms of an E-World Cup perspective.
I want to ask you this question, Mike. I want to ask you, do you think the players still have the same respect for this Tex right now? Do they think he's beatable now? Obviously, we used to say he was completely unbeatable like an Anders.
Well, yes, to the players still having the exact same respect towards Tex. I don't think that's shifted. I don't think that's changed. He's accomplished so much. My question for the couch, I was going to send it back to Rich, is I feel that Tex is coming in with the least amount of pressure that he's ever had before, and I think that makes him a little more dangerous. Do you feel that way?
He's putting a lot of pressure on himself.
Not like previous years, though. With social media, the expectations were always, if Tex doesn't win, it was a failure.
In Europe.
I'm looking at it from a results standpoint. If you want to go back to FIFA 19 or FIFA 20, every event that we went to, every LAN event, if he did not reach a final and win that final, then we had critiques for him. And we said, oh, we're disappointed, or the people online would say the same thing, that are following him, that are tweeting him, that are interacting with him. I feel like this year he comes in, he's got his own personal expectations, but I don't think there's the same worldwide, this guy has to win for us to give him the same respect or that type of
But if
support.
he wins, the debate's over then as well.
No, but we're not saying about that. But right now, what he said as well, he said so many names there, didn't he, as well, that he was worried about playing. So you know, we talk about Anders. I think if we all put our top players here, he's amongst them, but there's a lot of players around them.
I think if you ask 1,000 FIFA esports fans, who do you think is going to win the E-World Cup this year? It would probably go Anders, Nicholas, Tex.
I disagree. I don't think Tex is in that top 3 discussion if you talk to a lot of the competitors here.
I think he is.
I have talked to him today. I went through it. I asked that direct question. So, but not a poll of 1,000.
That's what we're doing. They're lying.
I've got a poll of 24, Rich.
Well, Tex is ignoring us because he's up by a goal to nil in his group game there. That's Tex leading Mike J on our featured match. I remember all games are underway. Group A and Group B in the FIFAe World Cup. Lex against Berke Lyon. It is the French player of Olympique Lyon that does lead by a goal to nil 3 minutes in. I guess the other question I'll put out to the couch is, why do we think Tex was grouped in the last 2 occasions? Just the pressure or the quality that was around him?
Well, he says the quality, doesn't he?
Or even
burnout. He says the quality now and the depth of players. And Mike, we alluded to this, didn't we, as well, in the Club World Cup and the E-Nations. There's so many good top level FIFA players right now. And they're all here.
I think it depends on the year, just to answer your question. In FIFA 19, I believe that Tex was feeling more pressure than he's ever felt. Just came out of the scene. He's been winning everything. He hadn't faced the same levels of maybe adversity, as we see a bit of a strange goal there as Stingray doubles up his lead. But I definitely think there were different reasoning behind a lack of success for him between 19 and last year, of course.
Well, Rich, you said a little bit about Mike and how he's such a colourful character. On the bus the other day, he said, I've been winning all my practice games, and you never know, I might just come here, win a World Cup and retire. Wasn't that his words?
Yeah, I think he's made it abundantly clear that this probably will be his last event, Mike J, even if he was to win it. The final thing, because I'm not finished on this yet, and we've got time. You spoke about Tex the last 2 tournaments, as we see him in action here against Mike J. FIFA 19, I think everyone just caught up to him. He started so much quicker than everyone else, and he was the benchmark that he won everything that year. You knew that you had to get to him if you wanted to win that tournament. FIFA 22, if you look back at the results, he just drew too many games in the groups. And we've always said the one-legged format doesn't really suit him. And I think when we saw in the interview before we kicked off, if he can get past the tournament and get past that initial group stages, in the knockouts, he is one of the favourites to go and win it.
I don't think there's a world where he does not get out this group. You know, no offence to other players, they're in it, top players, but everyone else in his group, as Rich pointed out earlier, are in their first ever FIFAe World Cup Grand Final, which obviously goes to show the talent that's come through, but this is, of all years, he's got to get through. Top 4 from 6, he should be on his way. Well, let's see what else has been going on in other matches. There's been a goal in this one as Yuval leads Abu Makka by a goal to nil. Tuga against Darkley, still 0-0. Until this moment in the tie. Darkley, a couple of step-overs. They call him the artist, and you can understand why when he's scoring goals like that, Mike.
Lovely coverage, top corner. We're going to see so many step-overs throughout the course of today, tomorrow, and the upcoming days. I still believe to this point, probably the most overpowered skill move, and just wait till you see Anders in action with some of those step-overs. You're going to see them introduced and reintroduced in ways that you're probably not doing at home. I feel like he's someone that's kind of created the meta when you talk about that skill move in particular.
I had a question about Tuga, actually. You know, we all wish he'd have done something a little bit special, don't we, over the course of the last couple of days. Are now the players looking at him and thinking he's beatable after underperforming?
Well, it's 2v2 versus 1v1. I definitely feel that Tuga's got his respect within the scene. I don't think anybody looks forward to playing him, but for sure, the fact that he's gone out to the last couple events, underperformed this year, especially for everyone's expectation. Tuga and getting grouped never went together. So I feel as if, from a competitive standpoint, that they definitely believe that he's beatable. And I think you'd prefer to play him in a group stage than in the format shift. I know that sometimes I can be a little bit critical format-wise. People use it as an excuse. But a player like Tuga who kind of outlasts you, you don't want to see him in a two-legged affair.
Just on that as well, I think, look, he'll be disappointed with those 2v2 results, Rachel, but 1v1 for him will be completely fresh in this tournament. As we say that, he's just conceded again. Terrible curse of the commentator. Let's leave this game if we can. Mark 11 against Di Fernandez. That one's also in Group B. What's going on over there? It was 0-0, wasn't it? It was Mark 11, the Aussie, that's having an unbelievable season, leading by a goal to nil. Signed for Team Footwiz just a few days before this tournament, Alex. A little bit of a boost, isn't it?
Very much a boost for him, especially given how the group stage went day one in E-Nations and Club World Cup for Mark 11. Getting off to a good start against a very good opponent in D. Fernandez. And I think for Mark, along with Mike on the Australian side, they've got a bit of a point to prove for themselves, that they are here to play and compete with the best. And putting himself one to the good just before half-time, he'll be feeling brilliant about that.
Well, big matchup as well. Abimaka, the local hero, is taking on Yuval in this first fixture for both of these guys.
And it's Yuval doubling his lead, 2-0 to the good. Yuval, an incredible FIFA talent, especially if you just look over the last 3 years. You can see the improvement with his FGS rankings, 8th, 4th and 1st now in Europe. He is a player that was very disappointed last week not to have gone further in the FIFA Nations Cup. And I think he's almost got a bit of a point to prove as well, that those rankings and his position in them, there's a reason why he's top dog in Europe.
Well, he's starting to get to that point as well, where people are going to start asking, can you do it on a land environment? Because online, he's unstoppable. I mean, the man is phenomenal. If you watch back some of the highlights or the live streams, pretty spectacular. But we haven't seen that exact same form in person, but he can quiet or shut down all the haters or the naysayers in the next few days.
He showed some serious clutch factor in qualifying for this tournament, beating Dosseret in penalties at the FGS playoffs. Like, the big dog, MS Dosseret, beating him in a penalty shootout to knock him out in qualifying. That shows some serious bottle.
Well, now he's possibly playing as well, isn't he? The next MS Dosseret as well. The next best thing in Saudi FIFA esports is Abimaka.
Absolutely. Look at the season he's had. He won the local league, the EMBS. That's always Dasari's trophy. He beat Dasari on the way through in that, in a semi-final victory, as he tries to pull himself back into the tie, unable to do so. Number 1 ranked player in the Middle East as well to back up that point. Had a decent E-Club World Cup with Twisted Minds, Raptors Twisted Minds. He's had a good break as well. You know, he featured in the group stages for the E-Nations, and in the knockouts didn't really feature at all. So had a lot of time, you could argue, to prepare for this one. And as we said, we've got a home crowd here that are going to be spurring him on throughout this group stages and this tournament, as Mike will be feeling very hard done by not to make that 1-1. Post-saving text, maybe it's his year to get out the groups.
What? Open goal and a lot of margin for error there, the fact that it comes off the post. This is where you start questioning yourself. I know it's early, it's the first game, you're going up against Tex, but if that doesn't go in for you, I don't know if you're scoring a goal.
I guess for Tex as well, coming back after not qualifying for his country last week, that's got to hurt as well. We think English are a great nation in terms of FIFA esports, Alex, and more fire in his belly having to come back and do 1v1, even as he is an E-Lion as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for Tex, going back to the conversation about this Group B and who looks to possibly top it and take over, he's been there multiple times at the World Cup. Yes, grouped in the last 2, but just having that experience against all of the competitors in Group B that have never been here before, it just gives you that little bit of the edge. One player which I'm excited in a way to see is the player that Tex finds himself up against in this first matchup. It is Mike J. He said, look, I'm here to play, I'm here for fun. I want to go out and just do the best job that I can, but he's got absolutely no pressure on himself, which, when you can go in and play with freedom in that sense, there's a lot of other players that will tighten up on this first day because they know how much it means. Mike J, Tex, I think we'll start to see both of them look to be comfortable, but there has been goals elsewhere in these group stages. We are jumping over to Stingray versus Montaxa, and it is Montaxa who moves that ball off across. Lovely little low driven, but there is a foul come through and a penalty for Montaxa to find himself back into the game. R9 steps up, slots it down the middle, as calm as you like, all square, Stingray and Montaxa.
Very underrated as well, Montaxa. I think he's going to quietly go about his business in that very difficult group play. And back to your point about Mike J, he put out a tweet this morning. It said, all I've been doing is playing ping pong and eating all the event catering for the last 2 days. I'm ready for the FIFAe World Cup. You had a little chat with him on the bus. He is probably the most relaxed grand finalist at a FIFAe World Cup I've ever met.
And it's purely because he didn't expect to be here. which when you don't expect to be here, just even getting here into itself is a massive, massive achievement. So Mike has come in and said, yeah, I'm here just for fun, but we can't discredit him and the way that he has played throughout his competitive season as well. Ranked number 3 in Oceania, which is an incredible achievement for himself as we jump over to another game of Lex and Berkay Lyon. Berkay Lyon looking for that backstick cross. Calm as you like. Goals flying in from across all games right now.
Little ball roll sets it up so nicely. And just to build off what you're saying with the Aussies, I think it's been the biggest uptick we've seen from a nation over the course of a couple weeks here. When you look at Hollywood made a run, a couple Aussies. Australia looked good for the E-Nations, and now you got the likes of Mike J and Mark, the Mark that hasn't been grouped. And Mike J, we keep talking about it. I hope Spencer gets some interviews with him. He's a character. You're right. I don't know how to describe it to you until you've had a moment with him. He's quick-witted. Everything is a little more nonchalant, but it still has to count. He's definitely grinding the game. He's got to be a little bit of a character.
And to top onto that, sorry Rachel, it's the fact that he beat LJR and Danny Pitbull to get to this moment. Those are 2 unbelievable FIFA players, so don't discredit him. He will be there putting up a fight throughout every single one of these games.
We just saw a lot of different Australian players as well, wasn't it? Hollywood, you had Negatron in there. Then you saw Naylor. We had Marcus Gomes as the coach. So maybe it's kind of Australia's time now, as we have Mike. So 4 actual different FIFA players, and Marcus Gomes as a coach. We haven't really seen that depth for a while, Brandon.
Oh, I think the last person that showed us that was Marco, who recently just retired from team football. So I think the biggest question mark with Australia and Oceania is the lack of time they have to play against the European play style, which we always talk about as being so dominant. There's another goal goes in for Lex there. But what a run, and I think you're absolutely right, Mike. Those have been the 2 surprises from the playoffs. You know, I think Mike J said he came in against Leandro Peixoto and thought, I'm going to get smoked here. Had no pressure on him and ended up beating him. And then, as Alex said, Danny Pitbull to qualify for the World Championship.
I think with Australia and FIFA esports, as long as I've been sort of involved, it's always been relatively top heavy. Like the talent at the very top are capable of competing on a global level, but as you said, as you go down, the level of practice that you can get there peters off. Where in Europe you've got 500 event level players who can qualify. If they're playing well, they'll make the event. If they're not, they'll get grouped. But I'm not surprised that when we see the Aussies, Mark, Mike, Nagide, Naylor, like these are, if they move to Europe, they're probably making events like occasionally.
I also look at Australia in particular, and when you talk about the Marcus Gomes or the likes of Jamie, who's been competing, or Marco, who just retired, I almost feel that they walked so this new group could run.
Honey Badger?
Yeah, Honey Badger as well. Because I feel this new era actually has even more talent. Only time will tell, but that's how I feel. That's what my heart's telling me.
Do you feel if they had a bit more chance to compete, Mike, with some other top-level competition like Richard alludes to, they would be another level still? They would kind of get deep into the competition?
They're making that case now. That's what I'm trying to say. Over the last couple weeks, the fact that they're not getting grouped, they're performing to that upper echelon, they're tier 1 players, that might open up additional spots. I don't know what's going to go forward in terms of the ecosystem of competitive FIFA, but if there's an opportunity for them to get involved, they've been taking the most of it.
Speaking of the Aussies, there's been a big equalising goal. Tex and Mike J. We asked what he had in the locker. We asked how those marble cakes suiting you. And with 10 minutes left to play, he has found an equaliser.
But the post tried to keep him out again, didn't it?
I thought that Mbappe was going to be offsides when he runs into the goal.
One thing that is going to interest me the most about group play here, for certain players, some FIFA players just really struggle with one-legged FIFA. I think Tuga could be an example of that. I know it's early days, but
draws.
He's going to struggle. I even question Mark Nicholas later as well when we see him, just to see how he gets on in best of 1 games. Well, we've got some more goals to show you from around the grounds. Group A and B, as we said, underway here. Lex against Berkay Lyon. A word on Berkay Lyon. Came runner-up in the virtual Bundesliga this year. And if you look across the board in terms of German players that are here, no Dylan Mike, no Levi Finn, no Umit. You're looking at Johnny and you're looking at Berke Lyon. Are we seeing another new wave of German talent come through, Alex?
He's a player which I've been very impressed with on the times that we've seen him multiple times throughout this season. He's so attacking, he just wants to go forward. He's so mechanical inside that 18-yard box as well. Like you said, there is a lot of big German players that are not here at this tournament. Berke Lyon is one of them that finds himself here. It's a big statement from himself, his first World Cup. We'll have to see how he does. With 3 minutes remaining now in the game of Tex and Mike J, will there be 3 points or will it be a point shared for both teams? It is going to be Mike J that's going to have that time and patience to look for that last attack against arguably one of the best FIFA players that we have seen over the last 5 years.
Well, as far as I can see, 4 out of the 6 games have ended as a draw in this first round. Expect a lot of draws. We saw that draws sort of ruin people's chances of knockout play in 2v2, and it will do in 1v1 with the best of one. It has to change your play style. Full time, Tex was leading by a goal to nil. Mike J might sit there, Mike, and think if the post wasn't in the way, I could have won that 2-1.
I'm not sure if either party's happy. I was thinking back on that game because I was kind of watching it even when it's not as the main program game. There were opportunities both sides. Tex probably feels that he should have closed it out. Mike J could easily argue that he should have had a couple more goals. Maybe should have had goals before the one that he actually scored in order to equalize.
Is that a game though for Mike, that Mike thinks, okay, a
There's
draw...
a lot of Mikes there.
A draw is okay. Tex thinks that was a win gone missing.
Well, Mike's probably thinking about some muffins, so I don't know that he's analyzing the game. I mean that respectfully.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I definitely we saw Tex's reaction a little bit. He didn't look happy about it. So I feel like he probably thought he should have walked out of there. That's a game that he needs to win in order to kind of put his foot down. And also because this would be a situation where Group B is going to play Group D, Tex might already be thinking about potential matchups there, and he wants to have higher seedings.
Just on Yuval as well, what a win for, as you said, Rich, the number 1 ranked player in Europe. We say he's so good online, but what can he do at LAN?
No draw here.
Sitting behind him this year was Nicholas's coach from last year in Copenhagen. It's Coach Fur. As you saw, Nicholas and him sort of came to the end of their contract at the end of play last year. He stepped into the booth of team makers. What a start for Yuval Belli in his first round here, beating the home favourite 3-0.
Well, yeah, we have the fans, don't we, back in action then for the World Cup, and we love to see them. Let's round up the results of the Group A. If I can hear myself think, I will try and deliver these to you. Well, a draw then, Lex, Berke Lyon. Darkly beat Tuga there, 2-0, and then a draw for Stingray against Montaxa, 1-1. That was Group A. Let's have a look then and see Group B round 1 results. Maybe we'll get them in a couple of moments' time. But it's very noisy in here. They're loving life here on day 1 of the World Cup. Tex, Mike J then ended in a draw like we just discussed, 1-1. Mark D. Fernandez 1-1, and then Yuval 3-0, convincing victory there against Abu Maka, the local hero. 1 round 4 to go today, and then 5 more tomorrow. Round 1 wrapped up. Sven, where are you heading for us after that first round of fixtures?
Yeah, it's getting lively down here, Rachel. Very loud indeed. I'm here with Darkly, who picked up the only win in Group A in that game against Tuga. How was the game for you?
It was a good game against my idol Tuga, but I need to keep the level. So next I will face a good player, Berke Lyon, so I need to keep the level.
Yeah, it was a Portuguese battle there. Have you got a target for what you need from this group in terms of points?
No, I want to win game by game.
Best of luck. Kicking things off the win. Only 2 wins, as the guys mentioned, in either group. 1 win in each. And we're going to head upstairs now to a man from down under. I want to talk to him about his draw with Tex. So what I'm hearing is he's very laid back, perhaps the most laid back man in the building right now. Mike, talk to me about your matchup you just had with Tex. You got yourself a point.
It was a great game, honestly. I thought I got a little bit unlucky. I don't know if they showed it on the main broadcast, but my Mbappe open goal missed. That was a bit unfortunate, but honestly I had some good fun. It was a good game, and hopefully another win. Hopefully my first win in this next game.
I've got to ask you about your afternoon tea sessions you've been having. Apparently you've been, is this the key to your preparation? Because you're the most laid back man in the room, it seems.
My afternoon sessions?
Afternoon tea, is that what you've been having?
Oh yeah, I've been raiding the cafeteria pretty frequently. Those red velvet cakes. Haven't seen them in a couple of days. I think I might have eaten them all in the first 2 days I was here. But yeah, no, I love those cakes. Shout out the catering team, doing a good job.
If you make it through the groups and you get to the latter stages of this tournament, do you think your energy might change, or are you going to be like this the whole time? Because you've got a big smile on your face. I think there's a few players that could learn a thing or two in terms of enjoying the moment.
No, I'm just here for fun, really. Like, it's FIFA, it's a game at the end of the day, so I think people take it too seriously. I'm just here for a laugh. I'm happy to be here. You know, I'm in Saudi Arabia, you know, for free and expenses paid trip, so I'm just enjoying myself.
Well, keep enjoying yourself. Look, a very unique outlook from Mike, one that I enjoy. But the question is, if he gets to the final and he's played for $300,000, are we still going to see that smile on his face? It'd be amazing if we do.
I love that outlook on life, Sven. You know, give us a bit of that energy up here as well, and bring some cakes with you as well, Mike J. I'm a bit peckish, and I know we'd all like a bit of afternoon tea, the afternoon session, as you call it. Very Australian, that is. But how much do we read into that? Alex and Richard, I know you were laughing when he was just saying, oh yeah, I'm here for fun, all expenses paid trip. That attitude, though, possibly could be the relaxed attitude takes him all the way.
I also just think he knows that this is probably the last tournament that he's going to try and play in as well. So if you get bottom of the group, you're walking away with 10k. If you go and win it, you're walking away with 300k. Like, it's a win-win for him. He's not played for months coming into the latter stage of the season. He played in one qualifier. He won it. He went into the play-ins and thought, I'll just go and I'll dabble in it. He got through and then goes into the playoffs, won his 2 games, and he finds himself at a World Cup. Incredible.
Alex, do you think Tex, if he could hear that, would be slightly annoyed with that outlook when he's desperate to be here and be a world champion?
No, for the simple fact of he spent time with Mike over the last few days and he knows that's how he's been and that's how he's going to continue up for that. But for Tex, I think, yes, obviously he wants 3 points against Mike, knowing that matchup, but he won't be disappointed. When you play against someone that is probably completely different to every other player here, saying, I just want to go out and play with intuitive and just play in flow state, that can be very difficult to match up in your first game. So Tex has got a point on the board. I'm sure he'll kick on in round 2.
Yeah, well, also we heard from Darkley as well, speaking there after that matchup against Tuga, which he won in his first World Cup outing. He was going up against, like he said, you know, his heroes, someone he's always looked up to, Mike. I mean, that's great for him, but for Tuga, probably he's watched all his gameplay in the years gone by and, you know, going down. But talk about, you know, that matchup first. 2-0, I think, was the result in the end for Darkley there.
I would hate that if I was Tuga. If I was in that position, passing the torch moment, I don't want to feel as if that's what's happening right now, especially if you're Tuga, where you've qualified for all 3 events, you've been grouped in the previous 2, you get your 1v1 opportunity. That might sting a little bit, just a little bit. And I will say this, I know we talk about draws a lot and the devastation of the draws, the double D, watch out for those. I will say a draw to start the tournament is probably the best time. But going forward after that, you need to start having those wins, pushing the extra bodies, taking a little more risk.
I would think, though, that was the matchup he was looking at and going, he's my hero. Just for him, his own personal pride and kind of head-to-head rating, he would be looking at that as, I've got to go all out, attack here and get that result, Brandon.
Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't want to start the win with the tournament with a win? I think the one thing that we have to look at from Portugal, as Mike was saying, Tuga has paved the way for the Portuguese scene, and I think this is a world first. We've got 3 Portuguese FIFA players here at a FIFAe World Cup final. That has never happened before.
The reason that this group, in my opinion, is going to be so tight as well is because all 6 players are from Europe. Like, they're used to playing with each other week in, week out. They're used to practicing against each other in all the qualifiers. They've probably matched up multiple times throughout this season, and it is just going to be a consistent roundabout of fixtures. 1 win you get, 1 win you lose. It will come down to real small margins.
Well, we've kicked off then, haven't we, in the second round of fixtures here on the first day of the FIFAe World Cup, and we just mentioned Tuga losing that first round to his fellow countryman, someone who looked up to him in his first World Cup. That was Darkley, of course, for BC Apogee Portugal, and then he's going up against Stingray now. Let's just talk up Stingray's chances. I think maybe he's a bit of a dark horse here, guys. What would you think?
Definitely. Stingray said himself in that interview he's not had the best time online this season, playing in the online qualifiers. He's ranked 126th in Europe, but he's won the E-League. Illegal. If there's anyone that knows Stingray, you cannot count him out because he's so attacking. He's got so many different tools in his arsenal, whether that's the ball at the feet, whether that's for him to look for crosses, lob passes, first time over the tops. He has got absolutely everything, and he's more than capable in a one-game affair of putting 2 or 3 goals past someone and just winning that match with ease.
He'll also want a little bit of revenge for last year in Copenhagen, because it was Tuga and Atletico Madrid Movistar Riders that beat SAF in the final to stop Stingray from having that accolade as being a Club World Cup champion. And when you look at this group as well, it seems like an outrageous statement, but Tuga's been grouped twice. He lost his first game. It might start to be that this is one of your more preferable games in the group.
Stingray's also become, Mike, a championship performer, isn't he?
Yes, and I was going to say with Stingray is that he kind of gives you this dynamic, unpredictable element. We know that he goes forward well. He's got a big personality, a little bit of some bravado, and he's not going to pedestal his opponents, which personally I love that. If he goes down swinging, he's going down swinging. We saw that last year as well, where he had a terrible opening day, a fantastic follow-up day. He just kind of plays in that way, that manner, very fluid as an attacker and as someone that's in the competitive scene. So he's someone that I believe has what it takes to go far in this tournament, as long as he has enough balance.
Here's the first goal from round 2 in the group stage. It's gone the way of the German player, Berke Lion. A little ball across the box, as easy as you like. Leads by a goal, still looking to build off that first result he has had. I think for me, the game of the round is this one. Juve against Tex. It's 1 versus 2 in Europe. First v second in Europe. 2 players that were there for every single FGS online qualifier, going neck and neck all season long.
This might be controversial, but I actually look at this and Yuval is the favorite. Even though he doesn't maybe have the same success in a LAN setting, what he's performed, how he's performed, if you talk to a lot of the competitors, what he's capable of coming into this, I would have him as the favorite going up against Tex until proven differently.
And especially off the back of what, a 3-0 win in his first game for Juve.
Yeah, just off the back of a huge performance. It's not only Tex, the sole Englishman in this afternoon's session. We were just talking about Stingray, and we can see how he is getting on in his opening matchup, because there has been an early goal. And Tuga, well, he's not having the best of times here in Riyadh. Goes 1-0 down to a Stingray corner.
Something we see time and time again, players looking to go short, laying it off to the edge. And as a defensive side, you go and do a go, put pressure on the ball holder to try and stop a long-range shot. In doing so, you just give your attacker, the opposing attackers, so much room to penetrate into the box. And the defensive side are trying to step up and press out. It just leaves gaps. Stingray taking the opportunity as it comes through. And you mentioned about Tuga, and is this the time for you to play against him and possibly get 3 points? Stingray starting off on that front foot.
Well, let's jump back then on that Tex-Yuval matchup, which the boys have been bigging up massively, is maybe the matchup of this second round. Brandon was saying it's 1 taking on 2 in Europe here. This could be a little bit of a, I don't know, just who's better in terms of Europe. They played many times this year against each other, maybe online, but in terms of in competitive FIFA, this could be a chance to really put them 1 or 2 in the world.
Yeah, the best part of it, they play each other twice, don't they? They play again tomorrow morning.
So we're going to say there, Brandon, if Tex wins both, he's the best in Europe. If Yuval does, he's the best.
No,
hands down.
Whoever wins the World Championship for me gets that one. Speaking of Tex, he does lead by a goal to 0.
Tex has a lot of fans in Saudi, unless there's some other action going on.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where it was coming from, Rachel. We thought it was Tex, but it isn't. It isn't.
And the reason we speak over each other is because we literally cannot hear ourselves speaking here, can we, Brandon?
Abu Maka was the man that got this crowd on their feet after a very disappointing first round fixture. 4 minutes to score his first goal in his first ever FIFAe World Cup Grand Final.
Asking serious questions of the keeper. Coming out, jumping out of his goal, Mark 11, 1-0 down. 5 minutes on the clock, and Abu Maka already taken the lead here. I think just not for himself, but for this crowd in attendance. You had to bounce back quickly. If you start losing 1, 2, 3 games, potentially you might just start to see a little bit of a more subdued atmosphere here in the arena.
I tell you, the person I don't want to play, if I'm in this tournament, I don't want to play Abu Maka at all. And I definitely don't want to play him, assuming he gets out of the group stage and you've got to be in some sort of knockout elimination game in brackets. Absolutely not.
Well, I'm sure at halftime we'll get a shot of it. They've got flags, they're waving them with passion here in the arena for this man on screen, Abu Maka. Is he the next MS Dossary? Can he also pick up a world title and make Saudi become really a big FIFA esports country, Rich?
Also a little bit of back and forth we saw at the Club World Cup with Team FIFAe, where they were playing against Raptors Twisted Minds. And now, obviously, it was announced a few days ago, Michael Evans signed with Team FIFAe. So Jay Denman's heard a lot of these fans over the last couple of weeks. As you were talking about Saudi Arabia and Abu Maka, it almost feels like a passing of the torch moment. MS Dossary, not too sure how many tournaments he's going to be playing at, how long he's going to keep on going. It's been a Hall of Fame career, a Mount Rushmore performance throughout his FIFA esports career for Dossary, but Abu Maka is the next guy in line.
He hasn't made a World Cup for 2 years, MS Dossary, which goes to show just maybe the level. I think it was Lamps that stopped him last year, and it was Yuval Belli this time around that stopped him from getting to the World Championship. As Tex was saying in his interview, just this new wave of talent coming through. Corner played in the air for Mike J to try and find his first win after drawing against Tex in the first game here. A couple of scores on the board. Stingray in at half-time is still leading, as we know. Burke Lion against Darkly. And Stingray did double his lead before the halfway point. If you're a Stingray fan, you'll be very happy to see that one.
And if you're a fan of Tuga, it's concerning. Not even off the previous results, but the fact that we know he struggles with scoring goals. And I'm more worried that he's conceding goals. Defensively, he's always been sound. Positional, structural, methodical, a lot of O's that I'm just adding in there. That's always been part of Tuga's plan and game plan and being able to make it difficult for your opposition.
We saw Stingray going 2-0 up there against Tuga, Mike. He mentioned that he doesn't have a coach here with him, Zach. He's chose to go with Tex for this tournament. Sting is a very passionate FIFA player. You can see him in that booth with those reactions. He always loves to get people up out of their seats. Do you think for himself, of having no one there, do you think he might deliver a more calm performance just because he's by himself, or do you think it can stir him on a little bit more?
I don't think he'll be more calm. If anything, I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder. You heard the interview. You didn't seem very happy about Zach making that choice.
Ace of highest bidder, wasn't it? Whoever fancy taking him for an E-World Cup final spin.
In a few E-World Cup finals, has Zach Moore as well. I think it's his 4th E-World Cup in which he's been a coach. Zach Moore, Stokes, Stingray, and now Tex as Di Fernandez opens up the scoring against Mike J. 55 minutes on the clock.
Uga has actually scored a goal as well. As soon as we can, we'll give you that one against Stingray. Stingray was leading 2 goals still at the halfway point. Tuga Atletico Riders finding a way back in that tie. Remember, best of 1 FIFA, we did say question marks. Just doesn't feel like it's his way of playing. Big goal there from Thierry Henry. Speaking of goals, there's been another one in the Mike J matchup against Di Fernandez. We'll give you the latest on that one as soon as we can. Di Fernandez was leading before the break there. And here's the goal. It has been an equaliser. If you're an Aussie fan, keep watching, because Mike J is back in the tie of Melbourne City, manoeuvring in the smallest of areas, finding that one more pass into Kylian Mbappe that will run away. Mike J back in the tie.
I don't know if it's selfish, but I'm not pushing this Mike J retirement. I want him to stay in the FIFA scene. I need the backstory there. Sounds like he came to Rich and kind of gave him the sending off notion.
Yeah, look, I get stuff out of people.
Before he kicked a ball at the playoffs, he said, "This is my last year."
Yeah.
And then he qualified for an E-World Cup. I mean, if he goes and wins the E-World Cup, we'll have to wait and see. Texas just doubled his lead, 2 goals still against Yuval in that matchup. If you are just joining to find out how Tex is getting on, he drew his first game, leading his second game. Lex also drew his first game, the French player 2-2. He leads Montaxa by a goal to nil. Then back to Stingray, who leads Tuga 2-1 as it stands.
And with that matchup of Tex up against Yuval, number 1 versus number 2 in Europe, I feel like that's very much a momentum type of game. Whoever wins that right now, Tex 2-0 up, that can just kickstart your tournament on knowing you've just taken down arguably the best player that you are going to come up against in that group stage. It can really push Tex or Yuval on. Tex right now is the one that looks as if he will take those 3 points into round number 3. But Stingray and Tuga, Stingray on that attack, trying to answer back after just conceding that goal.
Well, let's stay with this one then, which is what Alex was just talking about as well, the Tex Yuval game. Maybe this gives the player who wins it a bit of momentum, a bit of confidence as they go into the 3rd round of the group stages here.
Well, it's getting very loud as Abu Makka's just gone into half-time. He still leads against Mark 11 by a goal to nil, which has got the Saudi fans on their feet. Our game in focus, as you can see, Tex against Yuval. 20 minutes left to be played here. It just goes to show how topsy-turvy this group can be, Rachel, especially after what Yuval won 3-0 in his first game. Now Tex looks to be putting the first number 1 ranked player, I should say, in Europe to the side in this one.
Yeah, we've had that quite a lot, haven't we, when some of the groups after day 1, there's been nothing really to look into any of the scoring there, Mike. Yeah, it's pretty close in some of the previous World Cups.
It's still early doors, but what a response from Tex. Assuming this is closed out, you've got just over 16, 17 minutes remaining. Remember, Yuval won his opener 3-0, looked dominant. A lot of this success from Israel, if you're looking at the 2v2s and all their goal scoring capabilities, is kind of led by Yuval. The other 2 guys have been rotational. You look at Roy Feldman, or if you look at the likes of Nisat, and Yuval being the youngster still kind of leading that team in many regards. They've kind of played that support role with them. So again, credit to Tex here. He's able to see this out, and it starts to give you that early look of like, okay, he's not going to be grouped. He's got some points on the board. Because in the previous World Cups, the issue was he didn't get points on the board early, and they weren't happening often. And we had question marks day in and day out.
Also shows you how tricky the Australians are to play against, because we don't see them that much. So Tex doesn't really know how to break someone like Mike down, and possibly Yuval here, he sees more of his games as well. Plays him offline probably a little bit more. Yeah, has a bigger, greater awareness of a player like Yuval.
No, absolutely. It's definitely a point to discuss on that one. There's been a couple of goals. Speaking of the Australian players there, Rachel, there's one that still is trailing by a goal to nil. And there's been a goal also in the Di Fernandez-Mike J game. We can give you the latest on that one as soon as we can. Coming in, as we said, from Group B, where the 2 Aussies are actually in the same group. The goal has gone the way of Di Fernandez of Diogo Jota's Esports. I don't know what happened there. Was it an offside trap or just terrible defending?
Yeah, load of space at the back. Di Fernandez, probably the easiest goal he's going to score all day in the World Cup. Just having a look around a couple of other matches. Darkley and Berkey Lyon. That's a goal back for Darkley, 2-1. Berkey Lyon is still leading in that matchup. Big fan of what Berkey Lyon does on the pitch. He's real talent, and I think he does go through that Group A. Just his performances that we've seen this season, as Stingray is off his feet, leading 3-1 against Tuga.
The question if he was going to be emotional, if he was going to be passionate, if he was going to give you reactions and pop-offs and animation, I'd say the answer is most definitely when we're talking about Stingray. And again, it's something that I look forward to a lot of his interviews too. He's a little more outspoken. He'll give you how he honestly feels about how things have been going for him and amongst other competitors as well.
Looking at Tuga, 0 out of 6 in the opening 2 games. 0 points out of 6. I think the thing that happened last week with Portugal, they just left it too late. Like, it was everyone above. When you're having to rely on other people winning above you, and then those teams start winning, you've left yourself with too much to do with not enough time. Very similar, too many draws the week before with Atletico Madrid. So he will know the significance of this, but it's A pretty emphatic win, it's got to be said, for Stingray here, 4-1, as Tex is about to close out a 2-0 shutout against Juva.
It's hard to watch, isn't it, players which we've seen for so long and seen doing well for so long lose like that as well. 4-1 to Stingray, Brandon.
I mean, look, as we said in the 2v2 tournaments that we saw, it's a 2-day group stage, but you're right. I mean, look, it's been a long time for Tuga to be here as well. A lot of FIFA to be played, having to focus so much on 2v2 in a Portugal side that he wasn't really involved in it. He was subbed out more than he played, if we're being brutally honest.
There's a reason, though. He weren't playing well. Like, he plays in that team if he's getting points with Portugal, with Atleti Madrid, as you see Mike J with a 91st minute equaliser. He's off his feet. We're going to see this back here for Abu Maka and Mark 11. It's an equalising goal for Mark. A little bit more time left on that game. We'll see it conclude in live this final 20 minutes. That was the last kick of the game for the other Aussie in Group B. 2-2, the final scoreline between Di Fernandez and Mike J. 2 draws out of 2 for Mike.
Well, this is obviously Abu Maka. He lost his first matchup, didn't he, to Yuval there, 3-0. Was hoping for 3 points to get his day one competition really up and running. Still 15 minutes left, but for this time being, he's settling for that solitary point there. Abu Maka just needs to draw on that crowd, doesn't he, here as well, and use the home advantage really to his advantage. You don't get many World Cups on home soil.
And I hope that we get a camera in there as well. If you're looking at what I'm looking at right now, the intensity and the tension in the room next to us, it's something a little bit different. We haven't seen this at a live event in quite some time.
It's an interesting battle between both of these players as well, with Abu Maka and Mark 11 qualifying for all 3 of the competitions here in Saudi Arabia. Abu Maka, you could argue, maybe the favourite now as the #1 spot here in Saudi Arabia. On the opposite side, Mark, #1 over in Australia. They've both won 3 FGSs. It's an incredible achievement for both of them. They're just showcasing what they can bring to the table playing up against each other. There's going to be Mark 11 knocking on that door, and it's penalty.
Wow.
Wow, wow, wow.
This could be a terrible start for Abu Maka. Up steps Mark 11 from the spot, saved.
Sounds like a goal, that penalty save, and it's celebrated like it as well. We're going to a pause with 6 minutes left to play.
You could also say with Abu Maka as well, maybe we expect him to get to that next stage. He didn't look bad in the E-Club. We saw moments that everything came together, but they didn't make that late run that we kind of were expecting after the group stage, because they looked so good in the group stage. Even in the E-Nations, he was actually out of rotation for a lot of the E-Nations. I didn't expect that. I look at him being the best player in Saudi right now, and they didn't use him, they didn't maximize him, they didn't build around him. And now he's into the 1v1. He controls his destiny. And you start questioning or wondering, how far can he take it? How far can he take advantage of the home crowd and really push that forward? And how good is Abu Maka? This has been his breakout year.
But even in a one's perspective, we didn't have him qualifying from the playoffs. Like, he wasn't one of those names that we thought, I fancy Abu Maka to go through. He went down to a loser's bracket, round 1, and won 3 elimination games back to back to back to qualify for the World Cup. So I think in like a clutch factor, he's the man to do it. He's the man to potentially ice up and push through. However, it's going to be a real tough group for him to get out of. It has to be said.
And if you recall, we could backtrack the playoffs. Last game, final game, he went up against Ali Bali. A lot of us were saying Ali Bali should take this down, take care of business. See the header there, doesn't quite convert. And it was such a dominant performance from Abu Maka in that first leg. It was done. The game was finished before the second leg even really got underway.
Well, as we approach the final whistle then here in this pretty intense matchup that we're being treated to early doors, 1-1. Abu Maka then gets his first point of the tournament after the second round of fixtures. The fans like that. They love that he saved that penalty there. They'll be backing their man all the way. Well, let's go down then to the floor where Spen is with Abu Maka's coach. Spen, what's he got to say?
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, I'm here. We're going to try and do a translated interview here. First question's got to be, I mean, this crowd, I think is even louder than it was 2 competitions ago. How does he feel, you know, playing with all the support behind him?
Yeah, the energy is crazy. مكة كيف شعورك والجمهور واقف ورا؟ يقولون حاليا كان أكثر من يوم كان في الأندية.
أكيد ما يقصروا الشباب وإن شاء الله إني أفرحهم.
He's saying he want to thank them and the energy is crazy and hopefully he will not let them down.
My next question would be, like, I can only imagine what's going to happen when he wins a game. He's had 2 draws so far. What does he have to do to turn those draws into wins and really get this place loud?
Okay. مكة بديت أول مباراتين خسارة وتعادل. وش تتوقع بيصير في الجمهور لما تفوز أول فوز لك؟
إن شاء الله يعني هو الطموح التأهل وإن شاء الله إن يعللوا المدرج أكثر بعد ما فوز أول جيم.
He thinks the energy is going to be crazy. Hopefully he'll get back on track, play as he usually does, and then the crowds are going to be crazy.
Great, thank you very much. There was a big penalty save in that game as well. Obviously, he saved it. The crowd went wild. I can only imagine what's going to happen when they win a game. So we came into the man that they just played against Abu Maka in a draw. He came back from a losing position. Talk to me about the match.
Just 2 points dropped, really. I should have won that game. I had a penalty at 85th minute. He didn't even dive for it. He just stepped in the middle and dived. But it is what it is. We go again.
How do you feel playing, you know, being the sort of the villain, if you like, against this crowd? You're trying to beat the guy that they're supporting. Did it make it harder for you, or did it spur you on?
No, I've got noise-cancelling AirPods. I didn't even know they were here, so I couldn't tell.
Okay, and we talked about it last 2 competitions. You've never been grouped. You've come through that every single time. Are you going to do it again here?
This is the hardest tournament in the world, really. So if I don't make it, it is what it is. But that's my goal, to make top 4.
Let's not forget, Mark 11 has been at each of the last 3 tournaments, and his aim is to go, well, at least out the groups, which he always seems to do, but maybe even further this time out.
Obviously, we're going to run with that narrative, aren't we, Spen, for as long as we possibly can. It's a great narrative and it's a great achievement to have, isn't it? But I want to ask the boys, what do you think wearing that footwear's top for the first time will do for him? How much confidence or motivation do you think that will give him?
Well, I think if you look at Oceania, there's 2 or 3 organisations. You either play for Melbourne City or you play for Team Footwiz in terms of big esports organisations that are invested there, because we're being brutally honest, there isn't many esports organisations that are investing money into Oceania. So to play for them shows maybe recognition that I deserve from dominating the scene this year.
But you know what it's like, Mike, pulling on a new jersey, representing a new club for the first time. You want to do the business for them.
Most definitely, and it also kind of reassures that club or that esports organization that you were the right choice. You give them an instant value exchange, and most of the time you don't get it to be this quick on a turnaround. Last week he wasn't signed. This week we saw the announcement. We also saw Marco retiring. Maybe that played a factor. They wanted to line that up together. I would assume some paperwork has been done prior to those announcements, but I think they wanted to timeline that properly.
Yeah, for me, I think that would make me feel a little bit better about myself and give me a little bit more confidence coming in. Guys, what would you think?
Team Footwiz have always had a real sort of breeding ground of talent in Australia as well. I mean, as long as I've been involved, they've had a player pretty much in Australia, and that player is typically gone on to make a World Cup, perform very well. So I think it's a great pickup on both ends. Mark was a free agent. Team Footwiz come in. Team Foot was constantly levelling up as an organisation as well, whether it's a Club World Cup top 2, whether it's the content that they're providing, the esports organisation growing as a whole. I just think it just makes a lot of sense. And I don't necessarily think that, I know Mark spent a lot of time with Footwiz here as well over the course of 3 tournaments. I think he'll feel a little bit of pressure to want to perform well for Footwiz, but to me this is a long-term vision.
Alex Marks wants top 4, of course. We can have a look as well at the standings. He wants top 4. He said he doesn't want to get grouped. He's never been grouped before. Currently sitting down there in 5th. He would be one of those names we would pen in the top 4, right?
Arguably, yes. I think, given what we've seen from Mark Levin over the last 12 to 18 months, it is a player which you kind of expect to be, but he is in a very, very difficult group. I think when we're looking at that, he's got to try and rival out Mike, his Australian kind of counterpart on that side. If he wants to go into that, I think that battle is going to be there. It's a lot to play for. 2 points, obviously 2 draws picked up as well. He won't be happy not to have that win, but still plenty of FIFA to be played. 3 games left for day 1 for Mark. I'm sure he'll be happy with where he's going.
We spoke, didn't we, about Group D being tough. All those groups are tough. He just said there it's the best FIFA competition in the whole world. Top 4 is a tough ask for any of these players in any of these groups, right?
But at the same time, if you can't make it top 4 out of 6, you don't deserve to keep pushing forward. I don't know if I just take too difficult of an angle, but that's how I feel. You've got yourself into this position. You've got 10 games. You're going to get to play a lot of FIFA here. Or 8 games? 8 games. But you're going to play 10 games. 10 games. I started off well. I went the other direction. But
it's been a long 2 weeks.
You've got 10 games of FIFA, and you got to be in the top 4 out of 6. That's not bad. I'll take that most days of the week.
More difficult than last year as well. Do you remember there was 8 in a group last year, so it was even more tough to get through, more games, more of that mental strength that you had to go through, Brandon.
Also less spots on the line, hence why even being here is a ridiculous achievement. 24 players could only get to this stage, and you're right, there was groups of 8 last year, there was groups of 8 many years ago as well, when there was 32 players allowed in the tournament. So yeah, spots may have been weakened, but to get through the groups should be achievable for amongst a number of these players.
Yeah, the top 24 in the world is the lowest, obviously, you can finish. This, though, if I can hear myself think, is about this. Abu Maka here. Mike J has been winding up the crowd here. He loves it. He's just here to have fun. He's playing up to them, isn't he? Big time. He's just looking over there, kind of saying, yeah, come on, what have you got for me? I'm up against your boy, Abu Maka next.
For me, in this particular group, I think one of the 2 Aussies go through. I don't think both qualify, but I don't also think that neither qualify. I think they're 1 out of the 2, and it's all about, I mean, it could come down to round 5 or round 10. That's when they match up against each other. It could come down to a round 10 matchup. Win to go through, lose to go out. Like it could very well be the smallest of margins. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love to see both Mike and Mark qualify. They could. In my eyes, I just don't particularly see it.
And would you say now, in this matchup, this is a must-win for either team. If they want to make it through into that top 4, these are the sort of games where you look at one another and say, I need to take 3 points off you to give myself that chance. So we'll have to see. Will it be Mike J or will it be Abu Maka? The home crowd will be supporting Abu Maka. And Mike, hey, look, if he goes 1-0 up, I think he's going to give this crowd a good time of it.
I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb.
What?
I don't think Abu Maka gets out of the group. Whoa. I think Mike J does.
I'd whisper that if I was you.
And I'll give you that in round 3. Hopefully I might be right tomorrow.
Nobody got on the back door of that one. I saw no seconds or thirds.
That's what if you read between the lines, that's what I was sort of alluding to as well. I think it will be Tex, Yuval, Di Fernandez, and one of the 2 Aussies.
Well, we've had our first goal then in round 3. Where does it come from?
It's a massive, massive goal opening the scoreline. Yuval was just off the back of a defeat to Tex, and the foot of his new signing, Mark 11, goes 1-0 to the Gourds. Seeing Berkey Lion and Stingray battling it out here, and Berkey Lion continuing his fine form as Abu Maka steps up from the spot, straight down the middle, and the crowd certainly liked seeing that one.
Oh, we love that, don't we? They're on their feet, they are waving their flag. If that doesn't spur Abu Maka on to defy what Brandon just said there, I don't know what does. Maybe he heard you as well, Brandon. I reckon he did.
Maybe he did. Maybe he did, yeah. Not great defending. We jump across. Texas down by a goal to 0. A lot of people are sharing results as it currently stands. Mark's beating Yuval. Texas down by a goal to 2 against Di Fernandez. I know it's early days in these games, but with one leg of FIFA, whoever scores first, I think 80% of the time, they normally go out and win.
Games also, in this particular format, earlier on in the season, you'd play a match, you'd play a 2-legged game, then you'd be waiting 30, 40 minutes to play the next game. You've played 3 games a third of your matches in an hour. If you started slow, it could be over straight away as Lex and Darkley both underway.
This is one of our feature matchups, but Mike J had a massive chance here, Rich. That's why the crowd are back on their feet.
It's a clearance off the line for Abu Maka.
Well, Stingray then. Ooh, that's difficult to take. 2-0 down for him when he's had such a great start already, getting 4 points.
It's won 4-1, didn't he? Against Tuga, so this result is a little bit different, but this is best of one FIFA for you, honestly. When you've got this level of player, anything can be possible. Berkeley looking for a third there, goes out for a corner. Looking around the other games, Lex nil, Darkley nil, that's still goalless. Tuga against Montaxa is still goalless as well.
For Tuga, do you go, it's okay, I just want a point, let's keep it as it is, 0-0?
I don't think Tuga knows a different way of playing. Tuga has been Tuga all of his career. He outlasts you. He's good at slowing down games. My biggest concern is actually not that he struggled scoring, but more so that we've seen defensive errors, defensive issues, defensive question marks, because that's always been his bread and butter. When you go into a Tuga matchup, you know it's not going to be wide open play. There's not going to be a ton of goals.
So if we can see this stay as 0-0, then maybe it's a chance for him to reset. I didn't concede anything in that match, let's build on it.
Well, back to Tuga's game for a split second. I just think for him, it's just anything on the board would be nice at this point, Rachel. Draw, win, just something to get my E-World Cup started. He's a player that you always, as you said, predict is going to get through the groups at an E-World Cup. Looking at his past history from FUT Champions Cups to 2v2 success, certainly has given us a couple of question marks over those performances in the last couple of weeks. Let's leave this game for a minute, go back to my Abu Maka, where all the noise is around.
I'd just like to say that when we are on this game, I cannot hear a thing. I've got the seat which is closest to the fans, so when Abu Maka scores or when the fans are up on their feet, I'm out of the conversation.
Might as well just go in there. I think
May as well at this point.
They were doing a Poznan about 2 minutes ago. Here is Abu Maka, looking to find a second goal. Get to win again in this group. 1 loss, 1 draw so far for the #1 ranked player in the Middle East. We'll look for this attack at least to see where it can come out. We'll leave it for a split second, I should say. We'll go and check out Lex against Darkley. This is 0-0 so far over here. And Tuga scored. And he leads by a goal to 0 against Montaxa. We'll go and show you the goal that he was able to score right about now. It was Milinkovic Savic, of all people, coming to be the hero. And here's the goal. Is it a German cross in the box? I think it could be. Yes, it is. Tuga does lead for the first time in the FIFAe World Cup final.
You might have heard us talking. If you know Tuga, mentally strong goes hand in hand. And it's a big reason that we always expect him to get out of groups. This has been very unusual throughout the last couple of weeks that he's struggled, whether it's a 2v2 and even how he started off today in the 1v1 format.
Yeah, really nice, isn't it, to see him get off the mark here. As we're looking to see, as we approach 45 minutes, if Stingray can get back in this one. We have spoken Stingray up quite a lot on this couch, and I'd like to see him do really well in this tournament.
He's facing a serious FIFA player, though, in Berkey Lyon, who, in my eyes, I think I've gone quite a limb. I think he's probably a quarter-finalist, Berkey Lyon, just for the quality that he shows. He's coming off the back of great performances. The Virtual Bundesliga, the last domestic league that we had, he finished second in that. He flew through the winners bracket at the playoffs, 2 wins straight through. He'd finished in about 45 minutes. He is just a serious FIFA player, as Mark 11 doubles his lead against Yuval.
That's
in
big.
Quite a surprising fashion. I think Yuval, a lot of us probably had him topping, maybe second in the group, certainly going through. Mark 11 picking up 3 points as it stands, 37 minutes on the clock, that dramatically improve his chances with 2 rounds remaining here on day 1.
It's a big statement, isn't it? Especially going up before half-time here, when it's one leg of FIFA.
And you're looking at what, #1 ranked player in Australia, it's the #1 ranked player in Europe. Again, you come into this thinking, on paper, as you've all played more difficult players this year, because there's just such a bigger pool of European talents. One leg of FIFA tells you a very different story, Mark. Very comfortable and very confident.
I feel like Mark is kind of changing that quota that we have with Australian players coming over, that sometimes they can struggle to play against the Europeans and players from all over the world. I think Mark is proving time and time again over the last couple of weeks that he can compete with the best. And yes, Yuval may be ranked #1 in Europe, but he's here for the same reasons, and he's certainly got something a little bit more different about than maybe what we've seen some previous Australian players.
And I also don't like this narrative that we keep talking about with format, and this guy's the best of this, and he's the best of that. You get 10 games of FIFA, over the course of 2 days, you only got to be in the top 4 out of the 6 players in your group. If you consider yourself one of the best players in the world, that's not a bad format, even in a single elimination situation.
I agree with you.
Or a single matchup, I should say.
I agree with you, but this is how format is so influential on a tournament. If you take the 10 games, however, you play 2 legs and you only play each other once, and you play 5 games, the results are widely different.
Very different, yes.
I'm just not giving players a fair, I guess, excuse out. There's certain guys that I agree completely from a logistics standpoint. We know how they play. When you look at the Tugas or the Nicholas, that's what their game plan is to be able to adjust tactically. They slow play you a lot of times in that first leg. But for the majority of the guys, this still works. And you've got a great chance of getting out. It might be even more well-suited for you than playing these 2-legged affairs.
And I think what you're saying there as well is that if you cannot make top 4 out of 6, then yes, you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
It's very different if we're sat here saying this is the format and only 2 people go through each group. Then I would say, yeah, we could change that. But if you cannot make top 4 in your group, then yes, you just simply don't deserve to be there.
Those same guys will come and talk to us and say, I should have done it. I should have done this. I had this. I had that. It's like we had a lot of chances. You had 10 games of FIFA to play over the course of 2 days. I keep stressing that because there's a lot of opportunities for you to get those points. It didn't just come down to 1 game, 1 mistake, 1 error, 1 misjudgment, 1 bad step, 1 tactical shift, whatever it might have been. That's just not going to be the case. I don't like giving out the bailout, if that wasn't clear.
No, well, obviously it's a World Cup. There's going to be a lot of excuses as well. It's nerves come into play. It's first-timers come into play. Lots of different variables as well. So a lot of FIFA still to be played, but it's not just the format. There's other external factors as well, because this is where it matters the most. And we already heard a couple of the players saying that this is the biggest event on their calendar.
Maybe I just have a bias because I started off with the FIFA Interactive World Cup. I was competing throughout that, competing in the FIFAe World Cup. And the fact that in the early stages, the early days, everything was single elimination. Forget about a group stage. I didn't even get a group stage in a lot of the tournaments until I actually made the finals. So this still caters to the guys getting a lot more opportunity to showcase what they have.
As we see Mike J and Abu Maka here, there has been a goal in this group, as Berkey Lions still leading 2-0 against the Englishman Stingray. Speaking of an Englishman in the FIFAe World Cup, Tex was taking on D. Fernandez. Did D. Fernandez double his lead? He certainly did not. Tex skips around the keeper, gets the rebound off the defender, and equalises with 23 minutes left to play.
And that dribbling from Tex to just walk it past the keeper there, so close, tight to the attacker, taking out the goalkeeper with ease, giving himself that chance to look for the pass off across and putting himself back all square. Now we jump over to the game between Lex and Darkly11. Both of these players here competing at the FIFAe World Cup for the first time in their career. And also very closely matched in EU. Darkly ranked number 11, Lex ranked number 12. This chance comes through. It's ricocheting, it's bouncing, it's still there. Right off across. Darkly fires himself into the lead.
He's had a decent month, has Darkly. Not too long ago, he won the FPF Masters 4 weeks ago. Got his hands on some silverware as comes into this with, I think, quite a bit to prove. We saw that game, I believe it was the match before qualifying, where he beat Ethan from Team Footwiz comfortably. It was quite a heavy scoreline in the end. And he's one of those players that, from Portugal, he always seems to perform. Maybe this is the first time we've seen him at an E-World Cup stage. However, he's that new wave of Portuguese talent coming through.
And that's what I was going to say. If you date back to the text feature, he called himself old at 22 years young, I would say. Even in the competitive FIFA scene, I don't think you start getting old until you start pushing past that 25 mark. That's when we start asking questions. It's incredible how much the scene has shifted and so quickly.
There's a lot of young players though, aren't there? A lot of 17-year-olds in action this time, and in these groups we're going to get to see Berke Lyon is 17, obviously Anders is 17 a bit later on. Lexen takes his headset off.
Massive turnaround,
Massive
Tex
turnaround.
2-1 up. He was trailing 1-0. Milinkovic-Savic, the goal scorer. He is now 2-1 to the good. A very, very big scoreline starting to emerge here. Mark 11, 3-0 up against Juval.
Came over, 3 more points on the board there, but what a turnaround for Tex. As we said, Juval Belly now suddenly drops down that table ever so slightly.
Could you imagine? I know it's super early. We've got a lot of FIFA to be played, but if Juval didn't make it out of Group B,
I'd be very surprised.
I just can't see a world where that happens. Surely not. Surely not. Back to this game. Last couple of minutes. Mike J on the hunt for a way back into this to try and silence this loud crowd here in Riyadh. This year's FIFAe World Cup. We have got minutes left for Abu Maka to try and see out his first win in the group. Be a big 3 points on the board. Doesn't really need another goal. Looks to be smart and take time out the game. Keep possession. Mike J got 3 players around him, just chased him down. Abu Maka breaks the press. Happy to see out any time to follow. Any second now, a second goal. Even better. Doesn't want it though. Happy just to keep time ticking. Gets that crowd riled up. And this would be a group changing moment for him. Winning his first game with what, 2 more group games still to be played. Looking at who he has to play in his last match as he plays against Di Fernandez next. And last but not least, he'll finish the day playing against Tex. So a win would certainly build the confidence. Game over.
Big 3 points for Abu Maka there in front of his home fans, and 5 minutes just about left on another one of our matches, which Rich said had a massive turnaround. We saw them a little bit earlier. Had a little pause there, headsets came off after Tex got that second goal.
You see what the first 3 points of the day means to these Saudi fans as well. Abu Maka starting to make his way up this real tough Group B, in which Tex would also be picking up a vital 3 points with not long left to go at all here. The final 3 minutes. Looks to potentially get a third here down the byline. Somehow it's a little bit confusing at the back. Keeping the ball, knocking it around, waiting for the time to elapse here is Tex.
Need time to follow. Tex finding another 3 points in this very difficult Group B. So long ball forward, as we should do it here. We'll leave the game now. Tex, GG's big win against Di Fernandez. Someone who's on the way to win their first game is Tuga, currently 0 points from his first 2 games. Desperately needs these 3 points to stay in the conversation by the end of play today. Look who else he has to play today. He has to play Lex in his next game, and he'll end the day playing Berke Lyon, who is on fine form at the moment. 4 minutes left in the tie. Montaxa will get 1 more attack. What can the Italian do? Representing Genoa, Italian football club, down the byline. Looking to recycle it for the perfect option. Back to Hullet. Couple of step overs. Where is that run of R9 or Mbappe at the edge of the box? Defended well by Tuga. This is where he needs to show his grittiness. Just to see out this tide as Tuga should have possession there. Ball bouncing around. Given 1 more attack to Montaxa? No, he won't. Job done. Big 3 points on the board for Tuga in Group A.
Massive 3 points for Tuga, and Mike mentioned how defensively he's not been good enough over the last couple of weeks. Once he scored that goal and he went 1-0 up, He made a tactical change, went to ultra defense, and he's just seen that out professionally. A fantastic 3 points against the Italian of Montaxa.
Hey, love him. That's what.
He loved that one, didn't he? Got all the fans up in the arena here. Well, Spen's down there for us. Always love it when Spencer's down there. He races around getting all the interviews with all the players, all the storylines which matter. Well, Spen then is with the Group B, D Fernandez, after that draw against Mike J.
Yeah, no, it was just a loss against Tex that D Fernandez just suffered. 3 games down, 2 points, no wins. What do we need to do to get these 3 points coming in?
I can make the question to the Fernandes. Do que é que achas que é preciso para ganhar? Até agora tiveste 3 jogos, não conseguiste vencer. O que é que achas que está a faltar?
Falta melhorar no último terço, estar a definir melhor e pode ser que os resultados apareçam, mas de resto acho que estou a ter um bom nível e falta-me pontinha de sorte.
He said that on the attack things are not going as you want. The decisions he's making not the same, and I mean he thinks that he can perform well. The games were really good right now, but it's the World Cup, right? So the opponents are really strong as well, and swing guard at that level.
Quickly, tell me what it's like representing Diogo Jota, you know, a huge Portuguese icon, playing for his esports team. What does that mean?
Como é que é representar a Diogo Jota esportes?
É incrível, foi sentimento muito bom e espero estar a orgulhar todos os meus companheiros da Diogo Jota e é isso.
He said that it's amazing, and he really likes to. He was sorry, the crowd is really loud, but he really liked to represent such a team as like Diogo, and to be here competing not just as Di Fernandes but also as the teammates that we have in Portugal and representing also our team, a bit of our nation as well.
Fantastic, thank you. Good luck in your next game. Right, we're going to go upstairs now. I want to speak to the main man himself, Tex, because he's done pretty well so far. 2 wins and a draw, 7 points. I'm pretty sure he's happier than he was this time last year, but we're going to find out from the man himself. Yes, that's right, Texy boy, I'm coming to speak to you. Hello. Right, Tex, I reckon you're pretty bit happier than you were this time last year right now. 7 points from 3 games.
I'm happy at the fact that like that game there, I wasn't very good, and I managed to win it. When I'm not very good at World Cup, I just draw games. Like my first game at this tournament, I drew and I thought, oh no, here we go again. But nah, we got a win against Riyadh, who's very good. And then like lucky, well not lucky, he didn't create anything. It should have been like 0-0, but a 2-1 win there, and I'm happy now.
That was a huge win against Juve, wasn't it? That was number 1, number 2 ranked in Europe going head to head. The fact that you won it, the fact that you followed it up with another win, it's looking good, isn't it? It's looking like we're going to hopefully get out the groups this time.
I like how you're saying we're, is that you're my fan now. But nah, listen, nothing is done yet. I need to win. If I win the next 2 games, you'll see a smile on my face. But if I win one, I'll be like half a smile, and if I lose both, you won't hear from me.
Will we see a different animal, a version of Tex, if you do make it out the groups? Because obviously it goes to then 2 legs. Like, what is it in the past maybe that's made you not prefer the 1-leg matchup?
You know what? Yeah, I'm better against better players. So like even last year, I played Obron. I played well against him in the groups. I played Embre. I beat him in the groups. Like I play better against better players. It's the not so not so good players in the group, yeah, compared to like Yuval and stuff that I always struggle against. So as I see, I beat Yuval, but then like, I drew with Mike and almost lost that game there. So I just need to do better against guys that I should be beating, you know.
And then finally, this year, the guys were talking about it on the couch. Do you feel there's less pressure on you this year than other years? You know, you've got Anders, for example, who's kind of where you were maybe 4 years ago, new kid on the scene, young, lots of pressure on him. You could argue lots of people talking about him. Is it crazy to think that you might sort of sneak under the radar a little bit and then potentially win the whole thing?
Not so there's more pressure, because I'm getting older and older, Spen, so like there's less and less time to win. They're like 17, 18, I'm 22, I'm an old man now, so yeah, like I ain't got much time left. I'm no longer in my prime as such in FIFA 19, so if I win when I'm not in my prime, come on, man.
Well, if you're old, I don't know what that makes me. Definitely old. But listen, Tex is playing some fantastic FIFA, 7 points from 3 games. It's looking pretty good. He probably needs, 2 more wins to guarantee himself progression. He could get them today, and then tomorrow is a bit of a day off for him.
Well, but I get why he's acting as he is, you know, going about his business quite casually there because he wants to desperately get through, of course. I want to ask the group here, actually, as we welcome 2014 world champion to the set as well. This guy knows what it takes to go all the way. Aggie, I know you are listening there and watching the previous rounds. Tex there saying he performs better against people who he believes are better. Is that something that, as a player, you just relish playing possibly the better players and it just ups your level? Was that the kind of player that you were?
I can follow what he's saying. I mean, you know that you're super, like, obviously you got to be motivated for all of the matches here, but when you know you're playing someone who has a highly reputation and you're maybe not the biggest favorite here anymore. You want to prove yourself. As he's speaking, he's getting older. I don't want to call him old, but he's getting older, and he knows that the chances of him winning it is getting smaller and smaller. So when he's playing against those new top dogs, he's really motivated.
How would he view Rich? Mark, who's got next? Top player or a tricky player?
I think it's. He would probably say it's one of the tougher games in the group for him. It's simply sort of as a mechanical FIFA player v FIFA player. Tex, what he's just described there, he plays up to opposition when they are elite level, when they are world champion-esque players, but he plays down to players that he doesn't value in that category, and he matches their level. And then you sort of get in these scraps where you are picking up draws and you're losing an odd goal here or there. And then you can't get yourself back up to play the better players in the group.
I'll make this a little more simple. And this is generally speaking, not definite. But typically what Tex is saying here is that when he's playing guys in Europe, he feels he's going to get those results. And some of the guys outside of Europe, they're less known. They don't have the same notoriety, the same reputation, as you said. And that's not necessarily about ability in terms of how good or how, I don't know, average. Everybody here is incredible at FIFA, so I don't know how you want to do the tier system of players, but he's really going off of well-known, successful guys that have a lot of achievements and accolades, as opposed to these guys their first time in a FIFAe World Cup. He's thinking, I got to beat those guys. That has to be a win for me.
Well, talking of his opponent, we had one more match still underway as well. It is Mark taking on Yuval, and Mark is actually 89 minutes on the clock there, 4-0. Remember, Tex beat him, 2-0 I believe it was. So actually they're going up against each other next. So if Tex thought Mark wasn't one of the top tier players, maybe he should think he is right now, beating the number one player in Europe. Well, Spen is back down there as well, and he's going to chat to Berke Lion for us, who actually just defeated Stingray. Spen, is that correct? In that last match, a big match, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. 7 points, much like Tex, who we just spoke to. A draw and 2 wins to start things off here for Berke Lion. You've got to be pretty happy with your start.
Yeah, I'm really happy with 7 points, but the first game I played really bad, so 9 were better, but I'm really happy with 7.
And obviously you're here representing FC St. Pauli, a famous German football club. How does that feel to be here representing them?
It feels very good. I also represent Germany, so it's a little bit of proud in me, and yeah, I'm really happy.
And just 18 years old, one of the younger players here. What's your aim for this tournament?
Of course, I want to win it, but first of all, I want to be in the top 4 in the group, and then I'm aiming to knockout to knockout.
Good luck. Keep it up. Doing very well. 7 points in 3 games is very good. And yeah, we're going to see what he can get up to in future matches. Keep watching.
Yeah, massive result so far for him. 7 points, like we just said. Again, as a young German player, you've got to be motivated by what you saw last year as well, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely. What a world champion. I think we could be on this couch, as you said, the most successful nation to lift World Cup. Saudi have had a few of them, as we know. Denmark have had 2 of them. Anders Vergang, if he was to win this time round, could we be looking at Denmark as the most successful nation? Or can a Berke Lion or can a Johnny go on that deep run and give Germany another world title?
Well, a couple of points are thrown around there, weren't they? 7 points for Berke Lion and Tex. Let's have a look then at the standings. So, Group A, Berke Lion leads that one. We just heard from the young 18-year-old from Germany there. Darkly is 6 points in second. Stingray, who Berke Lion just defeated in 4, as is Lex. Tuga, big first win of his campaign in 5th with 3 points. And Montaxa, 1 point in 6th. Let's quickly jump to Group B. Texan, we already know that, 7 points for him. Mark 5, Abu Maka 4, Yuval 3, top place competitor in Europe there. Di Fernandez 2, and Mike J 2.
And the big takeaways at the end of day one are going to come down to who performed incredibly well, maybe outperformed even our own personal expectations, and then the guys that fell apart, the guys that struggled. A lot of the in-between, we say, well, there's another day, we'll see if you guys can fix it. But if you're at the very bottom or you're at the very top, you're going to get a lot of compliments or a lot of questions.
I think as well, one thing that really helps a player like Berke Lyon, he was the last virtual league to be played in the virtual Bundesliga. He came through into the playoffs like a week after. People that peak later into the year when you got a World Cup so close, I think that's going to help a few names.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just after the E-Champions League, I believe, as well. So late on in the season. Well, you probably guessed that Aggie has joined the couch, which means Alex has gone somewhere else. Alex, I think you've gone to the telestrator for us, so you've got some little bits to break down from those matches. Where are you starting?
Yeah, we're going to start and take a look at a few goals from Group B. We have seen Mike and Tex look so good throughout this tournament in this stage. We're going to jump in straight into Tex and show you exactly what it is that he's been doing to score goals and how he's doing it in the pitch. So taking a look at a goal for Tex. This is where he is going to be super aggressive once he loses that ball. You can see straight away Ronaldinho putting that step in and being aggressive to win that ball back. Tex is good in the attack, but he's also unbelievable in that press. That then gives De Bruyne a little bit of time. You can see De Ligt come over to try and close that angle down. We're going to see a give and go with Kevin De Bruyne, who is going to look to pass that ball into Ronaldinho, making that run in behind, giving him the space at the top side of the screen. The ball roll just to open up that angle, and then De Bruyne's in there, and there's absolutely no hesitation from Tex. You think a lot of the times, okay, we're going to look for that pass off across, but no, he knows Kevin De Bruyne on that left foot, if you can green time it, he will find the back of the net. A nice and direct goal from Tex there as well. In the second goal, it was just all about the footwork, the time, the patience to recycle, to go back to the edge as and where needed. Bruno Fernandes baiting in that, and then Mbappe taking that strike straight away, putting himself 2 to the good against Yuval. Exceptional work from Tex. Moving over to the other side, Mark. He played against Abu Maka, and there was a difference here in this as we just rewind it. You might say to yourself at home, how do you get more movement in your attack? How do you get players to go forward and give yourself plenty of options? Well, it's all about triggering that L1 button. Before Van Dijk releases this ball, you can see Mark trigger L1, so Ronaldo is going to run in behind. What does that mean? He makes that penetrating run, and then as De Bruyne picks it up, the space just opens. The right back and the right centre back are too far away from each other. That means R9 can run forward, and then as the keeper runs out, you've got multiple options. You might try and look to take it past the goalkeeper and go here with a heel to ball roll or a chip, but no, instead we see Mark look for that green time finish. Beautiful stuff from R9. And then in that next game up against Yuval, where we saw a convincing victory. What was the difference here? How did Mark have that explosive footwork in the attack? And it was all about the step overs, picking it up, trying to isolate in that 1v1. You give yourself freedom to go right or to go left. Where would we like to go? But we want to attack into the space here. Why? It's the closest way for you to get in on goal. The step overs come through, Pele drives, and now what do so many FIFA players look for in this area? We mentioned it in the previous ones about going off a cross. Let's use them as bait. Let's say we're not going to look for that, and let's try and take on our defender. Mark does an exceptional job to come in with the ball roll and then just getting that finishing with Pele. We know when those players get time and space in that sort of area, you can score goals. And that is how Tex and Mark are getting so many opportunities in these first few games. Let's see how they get on in their last 2 games in the group, Rachel.
Yeah, exactly. Can't wait. Obviously, as a British fan, I want Tex to go all the way, and I'm going to kind of say what Spen said. We are all backing him. I love that actually Tex picks up on that and said, oh, you're a fan of me now, are you, Spen?
Well, I think to a certain degree as well. If you've been around FIFA esports for a while, or you're an enthusiast, some of the household names, you kind of want to see them in the picture, making a run for it. Whether or not they win the tournament, that's a whole different, I don't know, description or a whole different situation with your bias or rooting, but you kind of want to at least see them in the mix.
For me, this is the tournament where Nicholas or Tex need to win this World Cup. It changes the story completely for their careers and the seasons, because who knows how many more years. He's 22, yes, Nicholas is young also. How many more years they're going to be at the top?
We're talking about people who need to win this World Cup. I want to know who you guys think are going to win the World Cup. We predicted, didn't we, who we thought? We're going to see them now and see who's already getting these things right. Okay, Aggie, obviously, you had to go for Anders Bergang there. I mean, state your reason why. It's pretty obvious, right?
Well, it's not only because he's from Denmark. It's also because I think he is genuinely the most gifted player here. I think he is the best of all of the players in the world, and that's why I chose him.
Well, I'm going to go over to Brandon because Alex isn't here. Nicholas, state your reason. State your claim for Nicholas as a world champion.
I think it's time to complete the story. I mean, look, for a player that won the League Champions League last year, didn't go as well in the League Champions League, lost on a penalty shootout, lost $250,000 on a penalty shootout and a world title. Like, you can't get smaller margins than that, which is crazy. For me, Nicholas wins this. He joked about retiring last year if he was to win it. If he wins it this year, maybe he will.
Okay, well, Mike, you're on the spot now. Your man, Paolo Neto. Why? Talk to me.
I'm definitely selling a different story than the rest of the couch for sure. I actually think Brazil in general is going to truly compete against Argentina here and really put their foot down. I think PH looked amazing. Paolo Neto looked incredible. They just won E-Nations. A lot of momentum there, a lot of confidence, and he's a proven winner. This guy has pedigree. We've already seen him win 3 EMLS titles. Pretty much every year he gets involved in a final, and I don't know why, but he goes under the radar. Last year he got top 8. Why not start moving a little bit closer to the final stage, the big moment?
Well,
little vamos for the people.
But someone who got obviously into the knockouts was Paolo Neto. Richard's gone with Tex. He stated his claim a little bit earlier on. He said he was definitely top 3. He's gone Tex as number 1, Rich.
Yeah, and to be honest, no real favouritism in this. I just think he's got to win now. If he's going to win an E-World Cup, it's this one. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Who knows where we might end up in 12 months' time? This is it for him, and this is the one that, if he wants to solidify himself as the greatest of all time, you've got to do it here in Riyadh.
Obviously, Alex as well had Anders, similar to Aggie, or same as Aggie there, and Spencer went Emre Yilmaz, the E-Champions League winner. So
it's a safe bet.
It's a safe bet for him as well. Is he looking around? No, he's not listening to Richard there. Safe bet.
But ECL winner coming in. A lot of the people say that he's the best player right now in the world. I know you.
Second 2 days ago, Rich as well.
Yeah, and also I just think he's got a very methodical way of playing the game. He plays almost a numbers game. The way that he takes, I think at the E-Champions League he had 137 shots throughout the course of the finals. The next place was like 40. Like if you play the numbers game, you keep on taking chances, you will continue to score goals and you will start to put yourself to the forefront of people's minds.
Yeah, and he did amazing at the E-Champions League and did amazing last year as well in Copenhagen, where he finished top 4. No one really expected him to come that far, I'll say. No one really knew how good he was. So I think he's definitely in for the shout as one of the favorites here. Question is just, you often speak about if a player wins a big major competition throughout the year, can he actually replicate that? Can he do that at the FIFA major? That's my biggest question mark in terms of Emre.
So a couple of goals there from Montaxa and Berkey Lyon. This was the equaliser. Opening 8 minutes, so we've seen 2 goals already. Good reply there from Berkey Lyon. Yuval versus Mike J. It's fallen to Yuval. It's not been the most convincing start for his E-World Cup. However, after that very short break, he's starting to turn the screw here against Mike J. And if you want in a goals fest, a German and an Italian are giving you it right now. Montaxa and Berkey Lyon, 3 goals in the opening 14 minutes.
Not sure how he got through. He almost did some penetration there. You got like some manipulation. You got some teleportation. There's a lot happening there. I'm not sure how he flashed inside the box there, but Montaxa needs a result. He comes into this with 1 point after the break. You can probably hear the energy in the room shift, so you know what's coming next.
I think there's been a goal, and we know which way it has gone. Abu Maka, the fan favourite, the Saudi hopeful, and the only player left in the E-World Cup that these Saudi fans are truly behind. I'll tell you what, Montaxa and Berkey Lion are putting on a bit of a classic here for us. 2-2. 18 minutes in.
Not nearly the same goalkeeping that we've seen as well. When we talk about the 2v2s, see the step over there from Mark. Goes up 1-0 against Tex, 21st minute, near post action. But the goalkeepers seemed a lot better the last couple weeks, I gotta say. When we were talking about Van der Sar and Courtois, it was not about mistakes, not about falling over, not about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. We were complimenting them. We were talking about the goalkeeper movement. We were saying these guys are making a big difference. How do you beat them? How do you score the goals? They've had a change of heart.
We've seen Montaxa and Berkey Lion in action here. Berkey Lion, one of the youngest players in this tournament, you were a very young man when you won your first FIWC. Does age really play a factor? Berkey Lion, Anders, like experience when you talk about that? You need to win at some point.
I think it does play a part. It definitely plays a role. I don't know how to describe it. I just feel like when you're younger, you're just so unconcerned. Like you come into a competition, you don't think too much. And that could be very positive for you, especially in a young age. But you can also easily get hit by the pressure, by the circumstances, which is why we see some of the young talent coming into their debut FIFAe World Cup, and gets overwhelmed and doesn't perform. And we see some of the young guys come in and just take the competition with storm.
And I'd like to build on that as well from August's point. When you're 15, 16, you're already in a position where you could be ready to win, assuming that you have the mentality, and that can carry forward. But I don't think your reaction time is better at 18 or 19 than it is at 22 or 23. However, the distractions, you might be completely focused, all in on competitive FIFA, and you can't halfway do it. If you talk to any of the pros, and this is where content's come into play, some guys really struggle with creating content and playing at the highest levels. You can't multitask. You have to be completely committed to the game in all facets, in all ways, if you want to have success of potentially becoming a world champion.
A player who has that elite level mentality is Donovan Hunt. You may know him as Fnatic Tex. Big goal in his match up against Mark 11. We saw the start of that game with Mark opening the scoring. However, Tex has replied in this matchup.
Tex as well, Rich, is someone who has been doing what Mike said. This year especially, been really focusing on content.
You also bring people in around you to help facilitate that. Wes Tansi, you might see him. He's not really the coach, but that's Zach Moore's job. He's there with the camera, and it's just sort of, you're rounding out that package.
Has he been able to continue both at the same level, content and professional FIFA?
I would say so. I think he's made a World Cup, finished second in the rankings in EU. He was at the Club World Cup. He finished in the grand finals of the EA Sports Cup. It's for his level, we expect him to see him lifting trophies, but any other player in the world takes that in a heartbeat.
Well, jumping across to this game, Yuval did go 2-up against Mike J. It's a terrible own goal to concede. Mike J did get a goal back in that one. We didn't see the moment after Tuga did take the lead against Lex. There's been a goal since Stingray against Darkly. Stingray is in the lead in that one. We said Mike did get a goal back in that one against Yuval. 2-1, he does trail after that terrible own goal. Remember, these are round 4. You are watching now the FIFAe World Cup. One more round, then we'll stop for a little break. And then we're back for the big one. Group C and Group D, the group of death, will be in action later tonight.
And I'm not sure what happened in the last 15, 20 minutes. We had that quick break. Guys stepped out for a second, but they came back, scoring and conceding goals. It's definitely been a much more offensive second portion of the day when we were looking at Group A and Group B.
Well, especially for Tuga, right? He just needed to get back in it and get that bit of confidence. You know, I think it would have just felt a bit like relief, and you saw that after the last game. He got straight up out of his chair, didn't he, and just kind of probably walked to the toilet to reset a little bit. Aggie, have you liked what you've seen? I mean, I'm going to say in 1.5 games of FIFA from Tuga, but do you feel now that's what he needed? He is back in it a little bit?
I gotta say, I got very concerned on his behalf when I saw the way he started out the competition. I thought, okay, the two last weeks has been too much for him, and now he's going to lose again, and he's like, even the best mentality can break throughout these competitions here. But Tuga just shows once again what he's made of and what a historical FIFA player he is, because the response has been amazing. Obviously, still got to do a lot to get past the group, but just getting back that fast and get points to his tally, that's very impressive.
Well, he was having a serious tournament thus far. That's Stingray, 2-0 up. You saw that second goal there against Darkley. Montaxa and Berkey Lyon, they scored 4 in the opening 20 minutes, and since then, nothing else, unfortunately, for the neutrals, who like a bit of a goal fest here in the group standings.
They worked each other out, didn't they, early on? That's what I'm going to say with these guys.
Goals going in the other games as well. Mark v Tex, we've got news for you over in that game. As we saw, it was 1-1, but it was Tex that has taken the lead in that game just after the restart of the second half. Getting down into this right-hand side, that one more pass making all the difference. R9, no surprise on the end of that one. Tex leading 2-1, looking to round out day one, top of the group.
FIFA clockwork there as well. The stop pop with the fake shot, the extra pass across the body. If somebody leaves you that type of spacing, you'll take that every day of the week.
More goals to talk about. Stingray against Darkley when we got them for you. Game suddenly started to come alive. Stingray did lead by 2-0 until the Portuguese player, Apogee, was able to, again, find his way from right over to the centre of the pitch. Easy tap in, thank you very much. R9 will run away. We'll jump somewhere else for you in this round. Abu Makar against Di Fernandez. Abu Makar looking to make it 2 wins on the bounce as he looks to also round out day one, in fine form. Keep in mind, Tex plays Abu Makar in round 5 today. What a game that one's going to be.
He'll relish that, won't he, Brandon? He'll relish just all eyes on him, and
just,
the crowd.
Just first time ever he would have been able to play Tex too.
And probably Tex will relish the crowd not being on his side. They were earlier. They'll turn tides, of course, won't they, when he faces Abu Makar, obviously home hopeful. Well, Tuga Lex, we said he got a big first win earlier on. Oh, he takes it 2-0 now over Lex. That's big, Brandon. 2
players that have had opposite starts to the day. Lex drew and won his first 2 games, and now he looks like he's going to lose his next 2 games. Lost to Darkley in the last round, and looks as if Tuga is going to make it 6 points from the last possible 6 on the board. That'll be 6 from 12 after round 4 if he can hold that one out.
We might be manifesting, might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but if Tuga's able to see out this game and then close out the day on a win, he's on 9 points, and he's done something that we didn't think Tuga could avoid. He's not drawing. He's either losing or winning the game. In 9 points, he'd be able to see out or play how he wants to play going into day number 2. He doesn't have to force anything. He doesn't have to chase it. He's not having the pressure of time or clock or running out of games, running out of matches.
Does he look into who he's playing, though, next, which is Berkey Lyon, who has had quite a solid day, Mike?
He was not the type of player, from my experience interacting with him, I've watched and analyzed a lot of his gameplay, to let something like that get to him.
Well, you heard a roar, and you can probably understand why. Abu Makar against Di Fernandez. What happened over there? Well, we can tell you one thing. It was Abu Makar, the hometown hero, making it 2-0. Keeper fell to the floor. Mbappe, thank you very much.
Do we have another patch? What's going on with the goalkeepers? I'm telling you, they were difference makers the last couple of weeks.
But I agree with you. I mean, we had some serious save from Van der Sar, Courtois. Maybe it was in terms of the goalkeeper movement. I don't know, but I agree with you, Mike.
The consistency from the goalkeepers, and then they had the extracurricular, those big saves, making themselves big even on the 1v1s, and we're complimenting all those moments. Today's been the opposite. No consistency, a lot of errors, going down early, missed position, coming out with weird angles. Uncharacteristic.
A chance for Yuval. Thank you very much. 3-1. Yuval Belly leads. He's had a mixed day in Group B with results. Started off with a win, then lost to Tex, then lost 4-0 to Mark, and now it's like he's going to be on 6 points from 12. Stingray against Darkley is still 3-1. There was also a goal between Mark and Tex. Tex is leading 3-1 there as well. Good to see the UK FIFA scene on fire here in day one of the group stages.
Well, this one then, Stingray darkly, it was a great job for Stingray. 3-1 at the moment. Obviously, it bounced back from Burke line. This is what I was just laughing. Off camera, I was laughing at this. It's like we're in a nightclub here, guys. They're absolutely loving it.
I don't know what's happening, Rachel, but I love it.
It's a reason to celebrate. It's a 3-0 up. Abu Maka just scored.
They love lights out here. They love the lights on their phone, Mike. I went to see Macklemore on Saturday night, and they were doing the same thing.
I mean, look, for Abu Maka, who lost his first game 3-0, drew his second one, now he's going to be on 7 points from 12 going into playing Tex. What a way to end day one that's going to be. Both players winning their last games.
If I recall, Brandon, you went on record and said that he wasn't getting out of the group. He would not get out of the group. There was no chance that Abu Maka would get out of the group stage.
Maybe he has a chance now. Slim one?
Roll on tomorrow. Roll on tomorrow.
Right. Anyway, this is who he's going to be playing in his last matchup, Mike. It's Tex taking on Mark. I said, how would this go out after they both beat Yuval quite convincingly? Tex 2-0 and Mark 4-0. Was it 4-1 in the end there? But convincing all the same, beating the top player in Europe. And now Tex is dominating this one.
If Tex sees out, he's also the first player from either group to be in double digits, sitting on 10 points, looking healthy.
I think what we start to see here in Group E, as we just see Abu Maka put a fourth past Di Fernandez. Let's have a look back. We saw the celebration. How did it end up in the back of the net? Just a long through ball, in on goal. Ball roll, heel to heel past the keeper, and a fourth. What we're starting to see in Group B is a little bit of a separation starting to occur. The Yuval winning 4-1, Tex winning 3-1, Abu Maka winning 4-0. I think you're starting to piece together what could be a top four.
Group is starting to split up, and that's the worst thing that can happen to you if you're not part of that top four, and it's also the best thing that can happen to you if you're part of that top four. You want to create that gap as early as possible. It gives you freedom, it gives you less pressure in terms of getting through, and yeah, I think Tex is enjoying it right now.
What, 7 points clear of fourth, of fifth? I think Tex when he's on 10 points, and 10 points hasn't been enough to. He's sort of on the cusp. Another win, 13 points, pretty much through.
Well, because Di Fernandez is going to stay on 2, it's 8 points from Tex to him, which is a massive gap, which is only unfolded after 4 rounds.
A couple of full times for you around the ground. 2-2 it ended Montaxer against Burke Lion. Full-time result, as we saw as well, for Stingray, beating Darky 3-1. There could be a comeback here in this game. Tuga against Lex. You see the scoreline's 2-1. You're wondering why it was Olympique Lyon's French pro player that has found a way back in the tie. This was with 10 minutes left on the clock. Very patient in the build-up, waiting for the right ball to just thread the needle. Waited and waited, gave the ball to R9, who was just able to move on his right boot and squeeze in. We join the game live now. 5 minutes left. Tuga looking to conclude the game. That looks like it will go for a goal kick.
We now need to see the Tuga of old, don't we? Mr. Defensive Tuga come out to play here and just see out this game.
Can get the ball back off Lex, who might look to have the last chance in the time. The only French player to pull through and qualify for this year's FIFAe World Cup final. Here he comes now. 89 minutes on the clock. This is Tuga's time. See the game out. That's a very risky pass. Happy to play that one. Tuga should be on 6 points from 12.
He would take that, I would say, coming into this day. Chance for him to reset heading in tomorrow if he can get a couple more points in his last matchup. He likes that, up on his feet, chanting again to the fans who clearly love Tuga as well, the man from Portugal, who's looking to find some form here in Riyadh. Well, that's it for round 4. Only one more round to go. That's flown by here at the FIFAe World Cup. Day 1 of groups A and B. Like we've already mentioned, it's really looking like in Group A, the four places are kind of finding their ways out. But then at the bottom of that group, Montaxa and Lex have a lot of work to do, and Spen is standing by with Montaxa right now.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. 2 points so far. You managed to get a draw in the last game after back-to-back defeats before that. What do you need to do to get that first win?
For sure, I need to create more chances. I'm defending good, but I need to score more goals for sure. That's what I'm missing. That's what I'm lacking. So I hope to win the last game of today and rest tonight.
If you do get the win in the next game, it will put you on 5 points. Would you need to do better than that tomorrow to then get it out of the group?
Yeah, I need to do more than that for sure. I'm playing not at my level, so I need to focus on next games.
Okay, best of luck in the next game. One man who's really turned it around since the opening 2 games is Tuga. We spoke to him before we kicked off today, and then he went and got back-to-back defeats, and it was not looking good, but he's turned it around. Back-to-back wins now. Hello, Tuga. Sorry to interrupt quickly. We spoke to you at the beginning of the day. Positive outlook, trying to do better than the last 2 tournaments. What was going through your head after those opening defeats?
Honestly, the practices went really good, and I thought that the gameplay wasn't that smooth that it was in the practice, so I need to adapt, need to change some in like the width, the depth of the team. I literally changed 2 players because in this gameplay I need to adapt, and for me it wasn't the same that in practices, so I lost 2 games, changed 2 players, now I got 2 wins. It's the most important thing that I'm feeling good now, and hopefully get the last win to have 9 points in day 1, which will be really good.
Yeah, 9 points would be great. That's the sign of a really good player, I think, in FIFA esports, that someone that can adapt to the conditions, adapt to what's not working for them. You've been around a long time. Do you think that's one of your strengths?
Yeah, even in the qualifiers, sometimes I struggle a little bit in the Swiss format. I literally, in those 5 qualifiers, in 3 of them, I literally changed players during the qualifier because I knew that changes have to be made. I changed some players and it went really good. So one more time I did it and went through it. So why not change?
Yeah, keep it up. Listen, well done. One more game left in the group stage for everyone. We're seeing some of the best Tuga now. After a poor start, he could be doing what he needs to do to make out of this group.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. His experience is clearly working for him there. Spence alluded to that, and he'll try and look to use that to his advantage next when he takes on Berke Lyon, who's in his first World Cup as well. How do you use that to your advantage then, Mike, going into the next one? He's changed 2 players, he said, from practice to now. We don't know who they are, but it seems to be working all the same. But he's up against this newcomer on the block who's topping the table, I believe, at the moment.
I think I've made my stance relatively clear in every single one of these events that Tuga's been a part of. I take him to get out of the group, and unfortunately for him, and maybe for some of my statements and sentiments on the couch, he hasn't done that in the previous 2 events, but I still expect him to make a run here, and I would not want to face Tuga in a different format where he's able to kind of outlast you, make those adjustments, make those pivots. I don't know if there's a competitor that pauses more, but he's not pausing the pause. He's just always constantly shifting. He's a tactical mastermind when it comes to being able to adjust in FIFA. I think he was being humble there with Spencer, where he's saying, oh, it's one of your best characteristics, being able to pivot. Absolutely, and he's proven that throughout the last few years.
Aggie, I know you use a lot of different players when you're practicing at home. Tuga, though, what do you read into that? He practiced with 1 squad, changed it up, 2 new players coming in, then goes out into battle without actually using that tried and tested team.
Just goes to show that that he's not afraid of making changes if things are not working, and that comes with experience, but it also comes with courage. And at big competitions and at big games, you need that courage sometimes, and I think that's pretty remarkable. And I think it's what changed for Tuga at this competition, that he actually learned something from the past 2 events, and he started changing things up, and things are working for now at least.
Yeah, 6 points. He's sitting in 4th place, isn't he, so far? We call that the dreaded kind of drop zone. Beneath that, 5 and 6, of course, get knocked out. So we're talking about Group A then with Tuga. They're sitting in 4th, 6 points. Look at the top, though. Berke Lion, that's who he faces next. He's currently got 8 points next to his name. Stingray 7, Darkly on the same amount as Tuga after 4 matches. Lex and Montaxa then. A little bit of work left to do for both of those players. Group B then, Tex. Wow, he's already on double figures with 10 points. Abu Maka, 7. Really bounced back after Brandon. He heard what Brandon said early doors. Yuval then, 6. Mark, 5. Dee Fernandez and Mike J on 2. Mike J here for the party, but he needs the party to get going, Mike, doesn't he?
Absolutely. And we know how this works. And I actually feel this last round of games is going to decide so much for the group outlook, because there's still a lot of room and spacing if you're in 5th or 6th place in both groups to go ahead and end the day, say it wasn't my best, but I'm in a position to really compete going into day 2.
Just to add on to that, I mean, look at who plays who. You got Mike plays Mark. Mark wins that game. He's 2 wins away. So is Yuval Belli if he goes and beats Dee Fernandez. You can pretty much conclude the group, and I could be completely wrong.
Brandon's teasing those fixtures. We can confirm them all right now as well. This 5th and final set of fixtures for today. I think we get them. Well, I can go through some of them then. Lex takes on Stingray. That's a massive matchup for Lex in particular there. Berke Lime, I've already told you about this one. He takes on Tuga. And then here you go. Darkly takes on Montaxa, who is sitting at the bottom of the pile. Stingray, it'd be good for him, wouldn't it, to get that final win there, Rich, just to give him that extra confidence that always seeps through, but it would just really put him in a great position for tomorrow.
Yeah, he's looking great so far. It is Stingray, Berke Lion and Tuga. If Tuga wins that, 9 points. You start the day 0 and 2 and you end up on 9 points. You're over the moon. For Darkly and Montaxa, both sides, Montaxa needs 3 points. Darkly, a draw, not a bad result. 3 points you take as a win. On the other side of it, Group B, if results go Texas' way, he wins and results also follow. He could be 6 points clear of 2nd. Never mind 6 points clear of the drop zone, but he could be starting to make a real sort of distance between 1st and 2nd in this group. Mike J versus Mark, the all Aussie derby, and Dee Fernandez with points essential for his route out of this group, taking on Yuval mid-table.
I mean, just to add on to what Richard said, there's a world where he could be 11 points clear of 5th place if all the results go his way, which, you know, for a Tex that didn't get through the group stages in the last 2 World Cups, this one looks like a cert that he will be going through. All games kicked off now. This is the Aussie matchup. Mike J against Mark 11. Keep in mind, Mike has got 2 points from 12 so far in the group.
Interesting matchup for these two, isn't it? Former teammates here, they'll know how each other plays, they'll know each other's personalities really well. I'm sure they're good friends off the virtual pitch as well, or they know each other's game all the same.
You're right to say, well, this is Dire Wolves from last year that were Team of the Season Cup runners-up. Got that auto qualification to the E-Club. Well, they still got out of the group. Wasn't the most prettiest tournament. So we'll change our attentions over to this one, though. Montaxa said he needs to create more chances. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean give away penalties. He trails by a goal to 0 against Darkly.
Struggled so far, hasn't he, Montaxa? He's coming to the tournament as one of a few Italians that we've got here, but it's a real opportunity to put yourself further ahead of sort of the rest of the pack. No Danny Pitbull here, no sort of Karami's back. When you're looking at a number of the other Italian players who are really, really good, it's only Oberon really who is consistently making every event. It's a shame for Montaxa to see him struggling thus far here in the E-World Cup. 3 points essential for his exit out of this group into the knockouts. We talked about the all-Aussie derby, Mark versus Mike, and we've had an opening goal, but which way has it gone? Mike J, 2 points to his name, needs a win, and he's on his way to get it.
Yeah, obviously it was always going to come down to which one at the former Dire Wolves boys was going to break the deadlock first. Possibly the lesser known, especially over the last 2 weeks, Mike, because Mark has made all 3 finals, and yeah, like he's just mentioned, he's got a new shirt on his back. He's thinking this is the biggest tournament of his career, and especially of the season.
Mark's had a little more consistency with results and then takes it a little more serious. I'm not knocking Mike, but it is a reality to when you go into breaking down some of these players and notoriety. Also joining FIFAe, as you just talked about, will be another extra boost, especially on the social numbers. And I'd actually go as far, I'm going to echo, I know we talked about it on the couch a little bit, one of the statements where I only see a world where one of these guys potentially goes through. I just don't see both Mark and Mike pushing out of this group.
Well, let's jump over to another really important matchup then as well. Di Fernandez takes on Yuval Belli.
Yeah, to shake things up in this group, it looks like it could be going that way right now. It could be Mike getting his first win of the tournament, and Di Fernandez pushing himself up the table and putting more pressure on the rest of the pack. The only games that haven't kicked off as it stands is Abu Maka against Tex and Lex against Stingray. They're the only 2 matches we're waiting to kick off here in round 5.
Yeah, when they start, we will let you know, of course. Well, a player that we love to see doing well is the Portuguese player with all the experience, made a lot of changes heading into week 3 here in Riyadh after not performing up to the standards we know he's capable of.
Yeah, he was just very poor, it's got to be honest. And I'm sure he would happily, in interviews or speaking behind the scenes, say that he's underperformed thus far in Riyadh. He has very high expectations of himself, which don't start and end with him getting grouped 2 weeks in a row. I think the probably one that hurt more was the Atletico Madrid Riders, given that they were the defending champions coming in. A lot of expectation on them. I think 3 out of us here on the talent predicted them to go and win it. So it was a real shock, and I think that shock did pass over into the Portugal camp. He even took himself out of that team for a number of the games with Portugal playing. This feels, because it's not 2v2 anymore, he's on his own, feels like a clean start, a clean slate for Tuga. And I'm sure when he goes 0-2 in the opening 2 games, he starts to think and worry ever so slightly. But he's putting up a good fight here against Berkey Lion. 7 points out for the day. If this ends in a draw, you probably take it, Brandon.
Well, speaking of Montaxa against Darkley, he went 1-0 down early on into the game. It didn't take him too long. I don't know why, but every game that Montaxa seems to be in, there's always early goals. There was 4 goals in 30 minutes against Berkey Lion. Here there's 2 goals in 29 minutes, and there's also just been another goal in that game as well. We see a second goal over here for Di Fernandez against Yuval, who's had such a mixy match. Sort of run of results in Group B.
Yuval's either won big or lost big. And I don't know if you want to describe it like that. As we're going back to the Montaxa game, he's working down the end line, an extra pass made inside the box. 1 is good, 2 is better, extends his lead. And Montaxa needs to win this game. It's got to be said. He comes into this with 2 points. If you want to have any hope, dreams, ambition, any resurgence, you really need a result to end the day.
Quick question for you, Iger, as we're coming to half-time in a couple of the games here. For Yuval, he's coming in as the #1 player in Europe. He's coming in with a lot of expectation on himself. When it doesn't necessarily click for you and you don't pick up those early wins, is there a little bit of extra pressure? When you were coming back in 2015 to defend the FIWC, did you feel it that a little bit more?
I actually felt more confident when I came forward to try to defend the title. I felt like I did this before. I'm definitely capable of doing it again. And it's an interesting fact with Yuval here is either winning or losing, and it with quite of a big margin. But as long as you get those 3 points every second game, he's going to get through. For Di Fernandez, Montaxa, and J. Mike, it's extremely important they get 3 points, because I just don't see in this format you're getting over 10, 12, 13 points at a day. I mean, it's so hard. So for them to get 3 points now, it's going to be crucial.
As you saw the equalizer there in that Montaxa game versus Darkley, similar to what we saw in the previous round that ended up 2-2. I think you saw some shifts and adjustments, and it got a little more defensive as time went on. But Montaxer hasn't been able to defend the leads, and he's also getting off to kind of poor starts. And it just puts you in a position where you're always playing catch-up. You don't want to be in that position. To see Tex and Abimaka, that game just kicking off, I'm sure the crowd, we're hear all sorts of different reactions from them. A lot of them were cheering for Tex as well, but I think they're going to have a little bit of a shift in allegiances in this game.
Well, they're quiet at the moment, aren't they, Mike? Nothing to separate these two players, and nothing for the local fans to shout about either, Brandon.
No, not just yet. What a way it would be to end for Abimaka wins this game. 10 points it would be. Di Fernandez, that game just got into half-time. Leads 3 goals. Now here's a chance. What a save that one is. Abimaka looking to cook in and around the box. Lots of games get into half-time. This one was a slow starter. Also as Lex against Stingray. That's also just kicked off over in Group A.
Maka has a ring to it. I'm just going to throw that out there. And I love a body feint. I'm just rerunning, throwing it back to some of the glory years.
Your glory years.
My glory years. Years that Richard never had.
So 6 years old.
Well, let's jump ships over to this one. Lex against Stingray in Group A there. I mean, Montaxer against Darkley, 2-2 in that. Neither player can hold on to a lead by the looks of it. It's so rare to see 4 goals before half-time at a 2-2 in a best-of-1.
Big match here then, isn't it, for Lex? Is this a... well, if he was to get through a new wave of French player here, would you say, in terms of Lex?
At the start of the year, I would say if you said there's only going to be one French player that's going to qualify for the FIFAe World Cup, Lex would not have been your first selection, probably not your second, third, fourth, or fifth. And that's not a disrespect to Lex. It's just a matter of how much talent is coming out of that nation. And this is easily his best season.
Yeah, well, he couldn't make it into the national team, could he, last week, for example? We saw the Peixoto brothers and Fuma in that one. Well, there's been a massive moment again for a more experienced player, one that we would always expect to qualify, and that's in the Berke Lion-Tuga matchup.
Yeah, here's the goal that you did miss. It's Tuga. Let's take the lead. It's a cross into the box. This time, Milinkovic Savic didn't go on his own. He played the one more. Pass down to Mbappe, thank you very much. Tuga looks to end day one in a very positive way, Mike.
And I'm not sure if we're getting another one of the breakdowns of the telestrators, but I would like to see that on a rerun. The extra pass there, it's not the cross, but the fact that you have the awareness to knock down that cross for the tap in. And again, at home, even if you're a top quality player, you're not making that extra pass. You don't see the same picture. And this is where the pros are so special. They take a chance that maybe would be 70, 80% conversion rate, and they turn it into a tap, and they turn it into one of those 99% chances.
And this is where, in particular, Tuga is so special as well. He's got Group 2 tournaments in a row. He starts the day 0-2, and then picks up 9 points in the last 3 games. Like, the mentality that this man has, I really don't think anyone gets near him.
Impressive. It's really impressive. We spoke about it, and just the fact that he managed to get 3 wins in a row potentially puts him in a very, very decent position for tomorrow.
I was going to say, Rich, does he prefer playing 1v1? But that's a stupid question because he was a world champion in 2v2.
I'd still say before he prefers 1v1.
I would say probably, I think a lot of the players actually prefer playing 1v1. I think it feels more at home. It feels a bit more fundamental FIFA esports.
It's less complicated. We talk a lot about riders, and we make it sound as if it was the Tuga show. And Tony struggled as well. We saw him, again, in the E-Nations with Spain. They didn't get out of the group, so I don't want to put all this pressure on Tuga. You have to have a partnership. Sometimes you have 3 players that are on a rotational, but they all have to play up to par, otherwise it's not going to work. So that's why, to your point, fundamental side of 1v1 FIFA, I think most competitors would prefer that way of competing.
Well, Tex Abimaka then, 0-0 will leave that and jump into another game. Ooh. This one we wouldn't have expected it to be so one-sided. Brandon, could they get something back? Yes.
Certainly on the way back into the tie, isn't he? 7 minutes into the second half, Yuval, the #1 ranked player in Europe, looking to get back in the tie. There was a goal as well, Montaxer against Darkley in that game. 5 goals in the match now. between the two sides. Still goalless. Tex versus Abu Maka. That one's about to go into half-time then. We'll stay with this one for a split second more. Di Fernandez looking to get himself out of the drop zone in this Group B, representing Diogo Jota's esports. Well, let's jump across to the goal that we did tease you. This is live footage now. Montaxa against Darkley. 3-2. Montaxa does lead with 20 minutes left on the clock. He's desperate for his first win.
Must win game.
You heard a scream and a shout as well. That's because Abu Maka just went wide just before half-time as well. Massive chance gone missing for the local lad.
Well, someone else who's been getting a lot of support from the locals here is Tuga. It's not across this time. Just a little ball over the top. Thank you very much. It's another goal for Mbappe. And Tuga looks to be ending the day very brightly.
This is the chance, Mike, that I just alluded to, which
was close.
Got a lot of noise in here.
No doubt about it. Big break there just before the halftime whistle. Might be able to carry some of that momentum into halftime. And again with Tuga, not only is he getting the results, but he's not conceding any goals. This looks like the Tuga that we all know and love and appreciate and do not want to play in FIFA. He's one of those guys that I'm telling you, going into the matchup, you know what kind of game you're going to get, and it's never a fun experience. Even if you win, you just feel mentally stressed.
And I think if Tuga and Tex goes through, which it certainly looks like, they're going to be so hard to play against because they prefer best of two because they can adjust. They're not afraid of that. And Tuga in a best of two, with that momentum, confidence boost by just reversing everything, that's going to be dangerous. He might be able to take that extra step this competition.
And the scary thing is, we have to keep in mind, Group B's probably be playing Group D. Tex, on this form at the moment, will be going in. We don't know what order they're going to line up in this Group D, but there's 6 names there that have all done so much individually in their FIFA esports career.
We thought Yuval was getting one back. He did, didn't he? But something happened the other end of the pitch as well for his opponent.
Well, Di Fernandez looks to end day one in a very positive way. Yuval, as you said, he's going to have to look back on this, Mike, and go, where did it go wrong? Looking across the results, I won 3-0, I lost 2-0, I lost 4-0, and then went on 1-4-1, and now I've lost 4-1.
And in the general run of form, it's just a bad result to drop those points against Di Fernandez, who's been struggling throughout the entirety of today. He's coming into that matchup with 2 points. Now he's going to be sitting right next to Yuval, assuming that he sees out this game. He's got 3 goals, the extra helpers. He should be in a position to do that.
Full-time result here looks to be Tuga winning 2-0. A terrible start, as Aggie was saying today. 0 points in his first 2, and then bang. 3 wins on the bounce without conceding. Thank you very much. Please start taking me a bit more seriously.
I wouldn't have believed you if you'd have told me he finished the day on 9 points after the opening 2 rounds. But that is just what Tuga does. The Aussie derby between Mike J and Mark 11 finished 1-1, point apiece for those 2 players, as Di Fernandez has got another goal. He's now leading 5-1 against Yuval. Tex and Abu Maka, 63 minutes on the clock, 0-0. As we're going to see this 5th goal here. It's turning into a bit of a rout here. You push bodies forward, it's always going to happen. You're going to concede goals. However, goal difference could play a factor. And he, as you said, Brandon, has sank quite a few so far, Yuval.
Well, our concern, I'm saying Brandon and I here, is more about the score lines. And when you're getting blown out in a game, that also tells me you're giving up. Your mentality's not where it needs to be. And we talk about Yuval and his ability and capability and potential, but you can't come to a World Cup, win big, lose big, and continue that type of form and expect results.
Well, not only goal difference as such, in quotation marks, but it could go down to head-to-head goal difference, and he's losing every time. Tiebreaker that known to man. He gets one back, 5-2. Let's have a look at Texan Abu Maka. That game is underway. They've just gone into the final third, should I say, of that game. 66 minutes on the clock. We saw Abu Bakr have a chance right on half-time. However, we have had a opening goal, and it's fallen to Fnatic Tex. 66 minutes on the clock. Tex goes 1-0 up, and he is looking like a different animal.
I think he already, if he were to win this, I think he's already through, to be honest. And I mean, impressive to almost get 5 out of 5 on day one. That's a statement as well from Tex. And regardless of who he's going to play against from that Group D, it's going to be a historical FIFA match.
I think he cares. If he plays like this and he continues this form, he will take on anybody in his path.
There's a world it could even be Anders, could be Nicholas, depending on where on earth they finish. If Tex does finish top tomorrow, that is, and who scrapes through fourth. Someone might have a bad day, even Emre Yilmaz.
Whoever actually goes up against this Tex that we're seeing now from Group D, I hate to see it so early on, Mike.
Well, just to, again, build off what Brandon was saying, someone has to finish fourth place. They might not even have a bad day and be fourth place in that group. When you look at the likes of Yilmaz, you got Manu Bashor that we're not talking about. We got PH Zin in that group. You got Damshi that I feel bad for because he's in that group, and I think he's actually improving from last year. And then you're talking about Nicholas, you're talking about Anders Verge. I don't know if we've ever had a group like this. I was looking through previous years, and I'm not talking about just names here or notoriety, but actual success, accolades, achievements, not a hype, not us building something on social media, but absolute results.
No, I think you probably have to go back and look through the archives every single season. I don't think you probably are getting a group that stacked when it comes to sheer mechanical brilliance.
4 world champions in the group, and some of them are multi-world champions.
All Dutch players in the same group as well. When I saw that, I thought it was a joke. That Group D is it's just unfair.
Well, it's what it is, and we get to see them, don't we, a little bit later on as we come to the final whistles of quite a lot of matchups in Group A and B.
I don't want any problems. I had nothing to do with the draw. Don't at me. Don't come at me. Brandon also had nothing to do with the draw. We're not sitting on that island.
None of us did, of course, have any involvement in how the players were seeded today.
Rachel's like, I'm not making sure I'm not included on that either. It wasn't me.
You never know.
Big goal for Abu Bakr. The arena making Tex know about it as well. 77 minutes on the clock, 1-1. Just listen to that.
I love to hear it. Absolutely love to hear it. Arena erupting for Abu Bakr. Let's just have a quick look then at that goal one more time for the crowd as well, Brandon.
I just think, look, for years this Saudi audience has watched Enestasari go up against Tex many times. They know how big of a FIFA player Tex is, and now to see that new Saudi talent come through and to go toe-to-toe with Tex in a group stage matchup, you can understand the rule.
They've been fantastic, the audience as well, throughout all the games, and they know exactly what they're watching as well. They love FIFA esports. I was speaking to a few of the Saudi fans in attendance today, and they just said, this is our thing. We in sport, we might not be great at a lot of things. We've got a world champion. We've got arguably the best person to ever do this. We get behind our players like nobody else. This is our thing that we support.
Multiple world champions. We've also have Mr. Dunn, who you're going to see and hear on commentary. He's actually on commentary now. And then you have the likes of MS Dasari. And if Abu Bakr does it, it would be the first time that we have 3 FIFAe World Cup different champions within one nation.
That'd be pretty special, wouldn't it? Definitely putting Saudi esports on the map. And even more special that we're here in the Gamers 8 in Riyadh as well. I feel very honoured to be a part of this great gaming convention which happens here every year, Mike.
I've never been here before. It's ridiculous. Even for
in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. I'm seeing the social clips going out. I'm seeing the people that are coming out, preferably come out later at night. It'll be a lot cooler, get a little bit of a breeze. But the support here has been undeniable.
Last chance here for Tex. There's 30 seconds left on the clock, but the referee will vote for a free kick here, with Paul Pogba going into the book. Pause is cued as well by Tex. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve. Is it Milinkovic-Savic coming on for one toss into the box? For one launch into the back post. Get Milinkovic-Savic up there and try and win a knockdown. Let's see what he's got. It has to come in direct, surely. There's 7 seconds left, 6 seconds left. We're ticking down the clock. He's manually locked onto Milinkovic-Savic. He will win the header! He's offside.
Whew. I think we all held our breath there. Sigh of relief, possibly, for both players and us in the studio. Well, that is it. Conclusion then. That was the last final whistle we had to play there, which was that one. Tex Abimaka then finishes 1-1. Points shared, so that means Tex stays top of the pile, and Abimaka then just gains another point. Tex finished on 11, Abimaka on 8. Tex, he'll want to talk to us after that one, I'm sure. Spen, we're all backing him, aren't we? He loves it. He's got some fans in the house amongst the locals.
Yes, definitely. We've got him right after that game's finished. What's your immediate thoughts on that draw with the home favourite?
I'm fuming, man. I wanted to win that one. But to be fair, like, his goal was sick. His goal was unbelievable. So I'd say 1-1 fair result.
You might be fuming with that game, but you've got to be delighted with the day's work. 11 points, you know, it's a massive contrast to where you were this time last year. You're almost certainly out of the groups, although you can't take your foot off the gas tomorrow, of course. What's the aim now? Like, is it about seeding for you?
I wouldn't say I'm delighted, man. I'm not a group stage player. I want to be semi-final, finals and winning. I'm not a group stage player.
But this will be the first time you made it out of the groups here.
I'm going to say, listen, the last 2 World Cups I haven't made out of the groups. FIFA 19, it's one of them. FIFA 22, I wasn't that good at 22 at the time, so like one of them. But I'm good at FIFA this year. I just need to get it clicking. I won't play my best FIFA today, but I did enough. I want to get out of the groups tomorrow, a couple of wins, and then that round of 16 knockout game will be my highest game in the tournament because I play the group of death, so we'll see how I get if I make it out there.
Yeah, definitely going to be a massive game. You could set a points record if you went and had a great day tomorrow like you have today. 23 points is the most anyone's got in the last 2 World Cups we've seen over the last few weeks in a group stage. Does that mean anything to you, trying to get 24, 25 points?
Nah, I couldn't care less. Just let me get out of the group first before we talk about points record. Come on.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on it. Listen, the way he's played today, he could do it. And I do think it matters because he's going up against a group of death, as he mentioned. So finishing top in his group gives him better seeding. Right, let's talk to Mike J, who's had a slightly different day to Tex at the office. No wins so far, despite leading that last game against your Aussie compatriot. Still looking for that first win.
Yeah, look, 0 wins from 5, not an ideal start, not the start I was hoping for, but look, 3 draws, 3 points, there's worse spots to be and I could have 0 points, so, day 2 tomorrow, we'll regroup. Hopefully some of the interesting things I saw on my screen today won't be happening tomorrow, and we can pick up some wins, hopefully.
Your fellow Aussie could be a good bit of inspiration for you because he managed to make it out of the groups last week, despite only getting 1 point from day 1. You got 3 points. Yes, you haven't won, but you have been hard to beat in a lot of games, so how are you going to turn those draws into wins? Are you going to be crunching hard tonight to try and change things?
No, I'm not going to play another game until tomorrow. I think I'm going to go scran down some red velvet cakes, enjoy my time off, and Mark's very good. I hope Mark makes it out of the group as well. No games for me, no practice. Just going to relax and come back tomorrow.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. Listen, we'll see you tomorrow. One of the most laid-back FIFA player you're probably ever going to see. Will it work for him? Well, he needs to get some wins tomorrow if he's going to make it out of this group. Back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. With his countryman, then the fellow countryman is sitting in third, so in the safe zone as it stands. Obviously, a lot of work to go. I'm not sure the cakes will help him that much with his FIFA play, but it might help him in other areas of his life. Anyway, let's pause on that for the moment as we talk about the Aussies, because Alex is standing by with a lot of breakdowns for us.
Yeah, there was plenty of goals throughout those rounds, and we're going to bring you 3 of my favourites. So starting things off, we are going to take a look at Stingray, who has very quietly been going about his business, picking up wins and a draw there in that last game. What I want to draw your attention to is the man that's on the ball right now, R9, and then also Hullet. Stingray is very, very comfortable in swapping them up, letting Hullet go forward into that more attacking role and using R9 to link up the play ahead of him. A big switch out to that opposite side, and then it's about, okay, how can we find our players? How can we get the angles that we want to have? R9 occupies that space, and then the change of tempo, being quick and direct into Hullet and saying, if I can get into this 18-yard box and find him, no hesitation, we will create opportunities. A lovely finish to go with that as well. And Mike asked for it, and we are going to deliver. Tuga has gone up clutch in the last 3 games, picking up 3 wins, and it's about examples like this. Sending the left centre-back on a big run in that 5 at the back formation and then looking for that cross. Bringing the ball out into the bottom side of the screen takes the attention away from the man that is highlighted. You are just waiting for this moment. As they are about to beat that defensive line, you just go with a normal square cross and then have the composure. So many people here will look for that shot and the goalkeeper may get that save. Make it easy for yourself and just go for the simple pass on. That is what separates professional FIFA players. Myself, you at home, we would probably not have this in the back of the net. It's about that extra composure, and that's what Tuga delivers. And then probably my favourite throughout those 2 rounds. Abomaka needed a goal. He was heavy in that press, and then he gives himself the opportunity to get up against that defensive line. This footwork is absolutely unbelievable. The step overs, yes, we know they're super effective, but then the shot cancel. And then one more shot cancel to send both defenders. We're just going to rewind that ever so slightly and just take a look. The step over, the shot cancel, and then one more shot cancel where you just press shoot and then cancel it with R2 and L2, and then the low driven to finish. That is an absolutely outrageous goal from Abomaka, and I'm hoping to see if he can deliver on that throughout tomorrow as well, Rachel.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, well, that kept him in it, didn't it? Because Tex was close to scoring a late winner right at the end as well. Wasn't to be, they shared the points. Tex finishing top of the table after day 1. Let's just confirm in the tables after 5 rounds of matches already. Story of the day, boys. Tuga surely in Group A.
What turnaround?
9
rounds,
points, what a turnaround.
2 rounds, he's bottom of the table. 3 rounds later, top of the table with a win in hand over the drop zone. That group's really tight though, really, really tight. I'm liking what I'm seeing starting to shape up.
You can't even really look at 5th and 6th, can you, on 5 points there, Mike?
I was going to say, outside of maybe Mike J, everybody else kept themselves in the conversation, in the discussion point in both groups. They don't have that much to do. It's just a matter of doing a little bit better than today.
I mean, looking at Group B then as well, D. Fernandez in 5th there, 5 points. He's actually our top goal scorer as well after day 1, and he sits in 5th. That's pretty surprising fact, which shows exactly how competitive all these 6 players are in both groups. Can you figure that one out? Top goal scorer and you're sitting in 5th.
It means he doesn't play good defense, but I'm okay with that. I like a little spice and everything nice. Give me a heated summer unveiling, and it sets up so nicely for tomorrow. Sometimes we don't get this to happen. There's been times we walk away after day 1 and we say we already know the top 3. That's not the case here.
I mean, D. Fernandez, he scored 5 as well, didn't he, over Yuval in that last round of fixtures as well, just to top up his tally. 43 goals, though, scored in rounds 4 and 5. That's a lot of goals we were treated to. Top scorers then, after day 1, D. Fernandez on 10, Tex and Yuval then on 9 points. Yuval, surprisingly, a lot of work to do.
Do we have the defensive numbers here?
Yeah.
These are also a couple of those guys, the top conceders as well.
No, we don't. Sorry, we don't. So let's move on to Yuval.
11 goals conceded from Yuval. He might be the top 3 goal scorer, but it's safe to say
Brandon
defence
making
is
the
not
graphics.
defence is not on the cards from Yuval Belly.
D. Fernandez got half of his goals in 1 game.
I know, 5.
Against Yuval.
Says a lot, doesn't it? But let's just... we just got it from Brandon. Let's show you it anyway. Top defenders graphic is coming your way just for you, Brandon, I believe, as well.
Tuga, he's got to be in. He's got to be in there.
No, because he conceded goals early. Those first
We're
two
poised
games.
and waiting for it. There
The first two games are going to impact him.
Yeah, here we go. So, 4 conceded by Tex, 5 Stingray and Lex as well. Stingray and Lex in Group A. Stingray sitting in 3rd, and Lex, he's in that drop zone, isn't he, at the moment? 5th, the Frenchman.
Impressive from Tex, conceded what, 1 goal a game was the most he conceded. Kept a clean sheet on that run too, in a very difficult group. And by his own standards, really, really impressive group there. 11 points from 15. Can't ask for much more than that.
I think take home from day one for these two groups, Aggie, is that it's all still to play for.
Definitely, together with I think the experienced players show their real level here with Tex and Tuga.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, 5 matches then from A and B. We get to go again in a short while with groups C and D. Let's just remind ourselves of who are in both of these 2 groups, and starting with Group C. Mike's pick, Paolo Nieto, he wants him as a world champion later on in the week. Stokes then, Johnny, RVP legend, Oberon and K1 John, all in Group C. And then Group D, we've already spoken about it. It's our big group of death here. Yilmaz, Damshi, Damian, Nicholas, 99FC, PH Zin, world champion just 2 days ago, Manu Bashir and Anders Bergang. There's too many players there to talk about. There's too many players to name. There's too many titles to talk about, guys. It's going to be pretty exciting later on, isn't it, Rich?
Group D. There's so many games to watch every single round. Oh, Anders versus Nicholas. Oh, Manu Bashir versus Emre Yilmaz and a whole Team Hullet derby. Like, it's going to be insane, Group D. And Group C, serious FIFA talent in there as well.
Yeah.
Damn Sheet did a rebrand. he went from Damn Sheet to Damien after he saw the group that he was in.
Well, that's what we get to see, don't we? A little bit later on, we get to see Group C, and then we're calling it the most competitive group we've ever seen here at a World Cup. That's Group D. Both of those groups go in action here on the first day of the FIFAe World Cup in about an hour and a half time. So come back and join us when we get to do it all again. Group C and D in action. We'll see you then. Good night for now.